Hello, hello everybody. Hello everybody, welcome in.
Hello, hello, hello.
every time, every time. I'm like, it's gonna be a slow. It's
It's going to
gonna.
be a slow news week. Everything's going to be normal. It's going to be slow. It's going to be, all this stuff. And then, nope, it is one crazy week of oddball news after the other.
Yep. Are we really
Excuse me.
surprised? Are we really surprised? All right,
Well, and
there.
that's the thing. It's like we're not really that shocked at this. Like it's just not shocking anymore because the industry has become such a joke that it's like if tomorrow somebody was going to show up and they're going to be like, yeah, EA has fired all of the studios, like just everybody, and they've hired 5 people who will make games with like a new like Gronk or new AI or something like that,
Ugh.
and that this will result in even more money for the shareholders. It's like
Oh
I
yeah,
wouldn't even
totally.
bat an eye. I'd just be like, yeah, yeah, no, okay, yeah, no, that's where we're at. Oh, just, it's so mind-boggling.
Yep. So, let's go with. Do you want to? Do you want to start with the top one on the list, which is Assassin's Creed?
Sure, let's start with that absolute travesty of stupidity.
So somehow, some way, Assassin's Creed Shadows, the whole game has just leaked. And I have
Yeah.
a lot of thoughts about this. That's why, in my opinion, I want to get your opinion side, but in my opinion, it
Hmm.
feels like they did this on purpose. And I have some evidence to prove why I feel that way. But how do you feel about it?
I am sticking with my story.
Which story?
I am sticking with my theory that I had months and months and months and months ago. I am sticking with it. The board at Ubisoft is intentionally trying to tank their stock so that it goes down to like 1 cent or 100th of 1 cent, so that they can buy all of the stock back, and then they will release a game that they've had all of their like pro people working on for the last like 5 years, and it'll be one of the biggest, most amazing games ever. And they'll say, "Yeah, we were about to close the doors, but then we forgot about this project. So we're now this project. You can play this project, and everybody will be like, wow, this is everything that we wanted in all these past games." And then the stock will shoot back up to like $1,000 a stock, and they'll be like, "Yes, yes, this was all part of our plan to become super wealthy." And then they're gonna announce that they're putting a giant um like a giant space station in orbit with all of the money, and they will become James Bond villains. I mean, at this point, I that's the best logic that I've got for what this absolute farce of an insane thing going on. Now I know reality is most likely just that they didn't like their warehouse shipped out some of the copies early, and they got intercepted because the mail system and mail theft is just ridiculously bonkers right now. And yeah, that's what happened.
I mean,
Seems to make sense.
everyone likes to believe that theory of like they're purposely tanking the stock. They're perfectly they're
The stock, yeah.
purposely tanking the stocks in order to buy back the company. But it's like you're intentionally ruining your reputation. So it's like it's going to be one heck of a Hail Mary to fix everything. So I don't know. It seems a little far fetched. I don't know, but I don't know. Like things have been so bad in the gaming industry nowadays. It's just
Hmm.
it's kind of hard to have such faith that they might actually put out a good game after decades. Has it
Yeah,
been
and the
decades of
and the
of
family,
shitty games?
yeah, yeah. It's
But
been like a decade, yeah. Or
yeah,
because like when the Viking one came out, it was it was like very widely, everybody liked it. But then they introduced, after release, they introduced microtransaction, and then introduced more and more like of the grind stuff, and it just kind of became a like it was a
I
very
mean,
profitable game, and I
I mean
remember a
they
lot of people enjoyed it in our community, but
I mean, Valhalla is a popular game, especially when we all knew they were jumping on the Viking trend. Because around that time, for you youngsters,
mhm,
when Valhalla came out, it was during the height of popularity for Vikings to be in the media, because there was like a lot of Viking shows and Viking movies coming out, and so there was a trend, and so they made a Viking game to, you know, make sales following that trend. But they before that was Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and they were
mhm.
doing that, the microtransactions, the Assassin's Creed Shadow in-game store, like the DLCs and stuff. They were doing that. What they did with Valhalla, they were doing that with Odyssey. So it's like they have, and even then, before then, I feel like they were also there was like they may have been doing shady stuff even before Odyssey came out. So it's been going on for a very long time. Is what makes me think. But going back to what what we were originally talking about, what I think is going on is I think they purposely are letting people play the game to garner some kind of interest for the game. That's what I think. And the one thing that solidified my thought on this is the pure fact that all Ubisoft games are online. They have the power to shut off access to the game, but they haven't. That's so weird. How? Why?
Mhm.
They somehow players have access to this online game. And do not lie to me and say that, oh, well, maybe the source code kind of effed up. You have no idea how much control these gaming companies have over their systems, especially Ubisoft. It's like, there's so many instances of like PlayStation and certain gaming companies shutting down accounts because, or banning accounts, or just because they said something bad, or because they said something that the company didn't like. They have so much control over these products that it boggles the mind that, well, if Ubisoft didn't want people to have access to shadows, they wouldn't have access to shadows, because that's how money grubbing that these companies are. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it's they obviously did it on purpose. They want attention on their game, and they're like, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to ship out or allow certain stores here and there to have access to the game, and then once people, like, was it, send out their thoughts and see how actually good the game is, then people will actually buy it. And yeah, that's what I think. They did it on purpose because they could easily shut it off if they wanted to, but they just chose not to because they actually want people's feedbacks to, was it, gainer good gainer good reputation, you know, garner good talking points. That's not it. Goodness gracious, my brain is not working today. Like, you know what I mean? Like they want good word spread about Assassin's Creed Shadows to offset the major load of controversy that has been plaguing this game like a curse. I was hoping someone in chat would help me with my brain farts, but sadly no. But I need more caffeine.
Yeah. It's I'm putting it through my head, and I'm thinking about it. And I think it's very accurate that that for some reason they've been like, no, this is fine. And you have to ask yourself, in what universe would you say, no, this is fine?
And this is
Like
a
if you're really like,
and this is a really greedy company. They literally were trying to
oh
sell the
yeah,
season pass as like for over $100. So, but suddenly
hmm
people steal the game and they have access to it for
yeah,
free.
and
I don't think.
there's been no like now I'm sure that they're going to go after like some people for this because they kind of legally they have to, but at the same time you're just sitting here and you're going like this is a madhouse, like this is literally insane, like what is going on here? But again, you kind of think about it and you're like, okay, well, I mean, if
I mean,
this is what they want and they clearly want this,
to be perfectly honest, they could have blocked access until the release date.
yeah.
So
And it's what
even if
sorry,
someone did somehow get their hands on the discs or download the game or whatever,
right.
technically they could bar access until the release window. Like they shouldn't be able to have access to it unless it was on purpose. You think God,
Yeah.
I'm not a fool. I know that they can easily lock that stuff up uh behind some weird was it error message where they're like this game is not yet available. Please
Or, you know,
please reach
any
out
of the
to
standard litany of like connection bugs that Blizzard has from week to week on their games.
jeez.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, I think you're right. I think this has been a pretty much just been a gong show, and I think that looking at it now, you have to use basic logic and say no, this is intended. Like hands down, this is completely and 100% intended because you can't have this many faults without it like being obvious. You know, it's like going to like a you know some kind of like rodeo or something like that, and you go, oh no, look, somebody has fallen you know into the arena, and it you know it's this weird lanky guy. And there's a bull in there, and the bull like charges the lanky guy, and everybody's like, "Oh no, heavens forbid! Oh no!" And then the lanky guy just like does this weird thing where he just like sidesteps and he bends his body out in a weird way, and then he just like he's just like keeps walking on like nothing just happened, and then the bull is just kind of like you know he's getting grunty, he's getting angry, he's like WTF, what's going on? And then he tries to get the guy again, and again the guy just perfectly sidesteps out of the way, you know, and just like instantly like oh yeah, you know, and again you're just sitting there going, okay, okay. Oh, this is a clown act, right? Like this is literally a clown act. This is literally like, you know, it's making fun of you know the situation, and that's just the way that it is. Because at this point, it's just like what's the logical like offshoot? Is that this is like a completely unplanned thing and it's hysterical and funny all at the same time? It's like no, this is very clearly intended to be a showcase, right? Like this is clearly intended to make fun of this whole situation and point at this stuff and just kind of go, yeah, this is what's going on here. Um, but yeah, and I don't know what to really do about this because it's mental, you know, it's insane. We're dealing with we're watching this like take place, and it's an absolute clown show, and it just keeps getting more and more ridiculous. At some point you have to say, yeah, well this is clearly like intended, like obviously this has been intended from the beginning, from the get-go. This is just the way that it is. They're playing some kind of angle. They're like like I don't know, maybe it just does boil down to them being so insanely incompetent that they have nothing else that they can do. Like maybe that's the case. I don't know because it doesn't make any sense.
I think they realize that their reputation is so in the gutter that they're like, you know what? we're gonna have to release some version of the game in order to gain back some kind of player trust. And I think this is their last ditch effort in order to, to turn things around. Will it work? I
Or
mean,
what
I
they're
don't know.
hoping, I don't know, maybe what they're hoping is that by putting out the game or putting out like maybe some of the source code for it, they can entice like modders to change the game in ways that they know that they couldn't after making all the big bold statements that they did. It's like perhaps that's what's going on.
Mm.
But then again, you kind of have to like look at yourself and say that's extremely insane. How could these people be so ludicrous to think that this is going to work? But again, again, can you really trust a bunch of like old stodgy? Basically, they've been living like a non-violent mafia for decades now, controlling everything and thinking that they, oh yeah, no, this is clearly on their, in their form of control. It's like maybe, I hard to say really.
It just feels so manufactured, especially knowing how,
It does, yeah.
like, it just seems like, another dumb thing that Ubisoft did that's going to ruin their reputation even more. But then I heard that some people said the game was actually good. So I don't know if they were paid to say that. I don't know if it's
Well, there's
actual.
definitely, I mean, there's, look at the amount of people who jumped on Avowed and were like, this is the best game of the year. And it's like, are you mental? Like, there's so many bugs in it that it's like, I mean,
And
like, is
like
that
the
what they were
game
competing for?
and the
They
game
were
isn't
trying to, like,
even as reactive as games that came out almost 14 years ago.
yeah, yeah.
14 years.
I would say more than that. I would say almost 20 years ago you had Morrowind, and I between the two of them, if you're just looking at straight up like immersion, storytelling, gameplay experience, I'd say Morrowind was probably better than the slop that they have right now. And again, it's like you're so disappointed to see this, to feel this,
They are so
but what more can you do?
not buy the game. Not buy the
Well,
game.
I
Make
mean,
the
not, yeah,
companies
not
go
by it,
under because I'm getting
right?
so sick and tired of them as treating this industry as like some kind of factory to shoot out product after product after product. And it's like, I don't want a product. I want a story. I want a world to immerse myself in. I want good characters. I want to feel moved. I want to feel like I could do something. Does that make sense? I want to feel involved in the game, like in the world that they created. That's what I want. I don't want a game trying to sell me toothpaste while I'm trying to stop bad guy A who's trying to take over the world, and that's it. There's no depth to him. He's just trying to take over the world. But don't forget that you might need to also restock on your toothpaste, guys. Make sure you need to restock on your toothpaste. And then they just make it feel so generic and devoid of any type of creativity and any type of, art form that it actually
Yeah,
is or
yeah,
supposed to be.
and I would point out that
Ugh.
there is a lot of complaints for people who, they pick up a game and they play it and they're like, wow, there's been no, like they took some chances and it was terrible. Like this is god awful as far as like, the sidestepping or trying to try something different, right? And again, you do kind of have to accept that as an issue that
You know,
developers face, is like they do face the difficulty of trying to make a good game and then having that, come back and hit them in the face because it's not what some people wanted it to be.
it's
And
selling a product with minimal effort.
yeah, yeah, well, no, I'm talking about the cases where they do try something new, right? Like they try something out of the box
I mean,
thinking.
even then, even
Like
if they do try something new, they don't put a lot of effort into the game. And so even if it's something that's revolutionary, like oh, it's a new gameplay style that's revolutionary, the story sucks. The graphics are clipping through everything. Like it is not properly finished. That's the problem. Like they don't put a lot of effort into actually like making a very solid game that you can play, because they're like, oh, that's a cool thing, but we need to get this out there so that our shareholders can be happy. And they don't
yeah, well now that's the primary problem. Yes. But like I'm talking about like when people tried to come out and change something different, right? Like back a few years ago is like, well, I mean, like Starfield's a bit of an example in that where it's like they're trying something different that's outside of the ordinary thing. Now, yeah, they screwed up with like a whole bunch of like additional problems and issues and stuff like that. Yeah, that was, that was definitely a problem, but them trying something new, them trying to go out of their way and to experience like something different, something unique. It's like we've had studios that have tried to do that and they run their head into the wall and just like it's just not good. And then they try to fix things, they try to look things, make things different, try to make things better, and they try something and it just again it just falls, like explodes in their face. I understand that problem, but the solution to that problem was to get good people who could understand the market. Ubisoft doesn't have that at all right now. And I mean neither does like Avow didn't
because
have that at all either, because they didn't evolve anything upwards. They didn't try anything different.
I feel
They
like
just spun their feet in the sand and were like, no, this is good enough. We're doing like we're making the shareholders happy. And it's like that's another obviously like massive problem with the industry, is the fact that you have these people who are like, they're so
I can't
in trying to make the shareholders happy, but all they're doing is just failing miserably constantly.
I think they're just grasping at straws. There's actually a lot of signs to show like what they're doing wrong. First of all, they obviously hired someone who doesn't know what the heck they're doing, because
Hmm.
they hired a Japanese specialist who is not a specialist in Japanese culture. Let's be honest here, because you wouldn't have been running into so many issues if they were. And not only that, they're grasping at straws because they're doing, you can't say that they're not trying anything new, because they are doing, from what I understand, with Shadows, they are adding a lot of mechanics that you don't see in previous uh, Assassin's Creed games. But just because they're trying something new, it's bringing
Well,
them
no,
further
no,
away
but
from the
but yeah,
original concept
no, no.
of
In
the
shadows,
franchise.
they, I would arguably say that they're not trying anything new. Like, yes, they have two protagonists, but I mean they've done that
Well,
before.
it's not just that. They're
Um,
also doing like they're doing village building. You can build your own village. You can collect cats. I'm not saying they're not trying anything new. Okay, I'm not saying it's the best, but they're definitely doing different things. Apparently, like the way that you can look up missions on maps is that you can send out scouts to scout a region, and then the scouts mark different areas on the map that might, interest you, and then that's how you can get like little side missions, which is a little interesting that they did that. But I don't know. And they also got rid of the eagle pinpointing thing, and I don't know how to feel about that. Some people like the idea that they got rid of the eagle thing. Oh, so for those of you who don't play Assassin's Creed, so you have a bird companion, and usually you have this ability. Assassin's Creed protagonists have this ability of seeing through to the bird's eye view and marking different adversaries with the bird, so that when you start your stealth mission, you can see them through walls and stuff like that, like heat vision, which is pretty cool. And it's been a staple of the Assassin's Creed franchise for a while now. I forgot which game implemented it first. I don't think you do that with the first three Assassin's Creed games. But because I remember playing Assassin's Creed 2, but I don't remember using a bird to pinpoint guards or anything. I think they introduced it in Odyssey, but they decided to get rid of it in Shadows. I guess that's a good thing because that means that they're quote unquote going back to their roots of Assassin's Creed. But I don't know. It's just they're trying. I still can't get over the fact that you can't hunt animals. Like you can just paint pictures of animals. You don't hunt them because don't hurt the wildlife. Sorry, it's been an annoyance of mine that they've been slowly backing away from being visceral about hunting animals. Like you can see it in the Far Cry games, and they implemented it in the newer Assassin's Creed game, and it's irritating to me because I do like hunting animals in Ubisoft games because back in the day they were actually pretty fun to do. So I'm just a little annoyed that they're like rolling back on that because we gotta protect animals. Sorry, go on. I went on a rant.
I wonder if they. No, I wonder if there's a reason for that, like a political one. But I kind of doubt that
It's
because
like
clearly they didn't
animal
care.
abuse. It's animal abuse.
Well, they didn't care about any of the other laws and rules, like when it
Well,
came to
that's be-
Japanese culture. So it's like, mm, okay,
this
I
is
don't know. I
this
have
is
to
the
call
one
bull on that one, maybe.
this is the one thing they can't this is the one thing they feel strongly about, not to hurt the animals.
Yeah, so like, and again with that, it's like, yeah, that's a very good question. I don't know. Like, I'm super curious to figure out like, well, what's going on with that choice. Like, that's actually the first I've heard about it. I think I heard about it before, and I kind of like lumped it in with the insanity. But I mean, I guess it sort of makes sense that they're like, oh, hey, yeah, we can't do this. This is unacceptable. It's like, is it? I
It's
wonder.
because it's because they're like, oh, that's so like the sensibility. It's the sensibility, right? Because first when you played Far Cry 3, you Far Cry 3 and Far Cry 4. I played the Far Cry games. I really loved the Far Cry franchise. Anyways, when you play 3 and 4, you hunt down animal, and then when you go up to the animal carcass, you there's like a visceral cutting like scene where
Yeah,
you cut the animal
yeah, yeah.
to get the meat and to get the skins. It's a little
Which I
visceral.
mean, I've always kind of been annoyed where it's like you play a hunting game, right? Um, like Skyrim or like or one of these games. It's like do you know how much a bison feeds a person? It's like you kill a bison by yourself and you like manage to like treat it, hang it, and get it like mostly cured. It's like that's gonna be your food for the next like year or more. Like, I mean, you're gonna be set on that for ages. It's like you only need like a deer will feed an entire family for almost a whole week. Like a smaller deer, like not too small of a deer, but
But
yeah, and that's always annoyed me with the video game stuff because
yeah,
it's like it's like roll my
it's
eyes.
yeah, but it's supposed to show like how in dire times you have to do things you wouldn't normally do in order to survive, especially with the Far Cry series. And then you
which is
have Far
which
Cry
is so dumb.
5. I know, right? And then you have Far Cry 5, which was the main sign of some type of turning point because you can hunt animals in Far Cry 5, but they got rid of the visceral was it? They got rid of the visceral animation. Like instead of like the animation of like, taking a knife and, carving it up, they got rid of that and you just stand over the animal and you press X and then there's a little thing off to the side that says you have collected skin and meat and that's it. And I'm like, what the freak is this? I was like, what the freak is this? And I was like, that's so dumb. That was so dumb. And then I just, I don't even know I don't even know if I continued hunting animals after that. But that was like, I was like, they are moving away from the disturbing quality of when it came to the Far Cry games. And it was during the time when things were getting kind of political heavy in games.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And in the game there was like some politically charged comments that you can find NPCs saying, and they say certain things, and they did it in a bigoted way, and you're like, oh, I see where this is going. I know what they're trying to do. So they got rid of the disturbing was it visceral animation of, hunting animals, because that's just too gruesome. You can't be cruel to animals even though you just hunted down a deer, but we can't be too gruesome with the animals. And then Assassin's Creed Shadow comes out. I haven't even played Far Cry 6 yet. A lot of people said Far Cry 6 sucked. So, but I got it for like, was it $12? So I'm going to play Far Cry 6 at some point. So I'll see what the hunting animation, if there even is hunting in that game. I'm going to see how bad that is. But I'm not surprised that Assassin's Creed Shadows got rid of hunting altogether, because it seemed like they were aiming for that anyways. They're going down that route. It's just annoying. It's just annoying to be right, It's just annoying to be right. I was like, oh, they want to step away from being cruel to animals, and they see hunting as being cruel to animals, and then they just got rid of it altogether. Instead of hunting animals, we're just painting them and learning about animals, and collecting their feathers and collecting little bits of info. Let's educate instead of harming animals. While we're at it,
Oh, that's so
while we're
sad.
at
It's
it,
so dumb.
why don't we learn to build our own village? Like what's that? Animal Crossing. Yeah, let's make it like Assassin's Creed, but Animal Crossing. You can also collect your own pets. You can get dogs and cats, and you can build your own village. Are we not going to do harm to the NPCs, to the enemy NPCs? Are we just going to knock them out? We're not harming them, guys. We're just
It's
knocking them out. They're just sleeping.
yeah, they have kind of like gone in that direction a little bit. Like, I mean, obviously, like not quite, but
The
they're
bad
getting
guys
there.
aren't really
And
bad guys. We're the
no,
good guys, and they're also good guys. So what?
yeah,
Okay,
maybe
so if they're
bad.
good guys,
Jeez.
if they're good guys, and we're the good guys, but we're beating up the good guys, does that mean we're the bad guys? Sorry,
Mm-hmm.
something stupid similarly happened in this movie called Cleaner, where this chick who's like a janitor, she sneaks into a building that was getting was it taken over by eco terrorists, and they're like holding this party as hostages, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
the people in the party were like billionaires who were destroying the environment. So it's like, and she's trying to like save her brother, but also stop the terrorists. But it's like, but the terrorists are kind of right though, because the billionaires are destroying the environment. So why would you want to stop them? Because I mean, don't get me wrong, like offing people isn't morally right, but they're also corrupt, and it's like they're not really like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's a moral conundrum,
Mm-hmm.
because like, is she really the bad guy because she's stopping them from like releasing info that they're corrupt and stuff? Like where's like, it doesn't really make much sense in a story's perspective. It doesn't really make much sense. What were we saying? What were we talking about? But it just feels like, oh, it just feels like they're
It's
just,
dumb. It's
yeah,
stupid. It drives me nuts. Yep.
they're like,
Agree. Agree. Agree.
it's like bad guys aren't allowed to be bad guys anymore. They have to have something redeeming about them. But then it's weird because then it just makes the hero the bad guy. But then people are like, no, 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 the hero's not a bad guy. But it's like, but with the that doesn't make any sense because they're technically not that bad. I don't know. They don't know how to write a good story. They just are too scared to make anybody evil and offend people. And it's like they don't know how to write. They don't know how to write. They don't know how to market games. I still think they're grasping at straws. But going down,
Definitely.
moving on. Apparently, Microsoft delayed Fable to 2026, but they promise it will be worth the wait. Doesn't that sound familiar?
I wonder, I really wonder, I really do wonder, is that the reason for it? Is that the real reason for it?
Ugh.
Is this going to be something that we're gonna see that's gonna come out and it's gonna be completely different? Like
Do
where's
you
it gonna
think?
be?
Okay,
I still think that the really ugly female character that we saw, I still don't think that that's the actual protagonist. I think that's the
wait, can't you
the like,
create your own protagonist?
well, yeah, right, like that's a normal thing that you do. I think that the character that they showcase is a, like, to me, I always felt that
Dude,
in the Fable games, you make fun of British culture and making fun of like other things in culture because they did that a lot. It was a very very like self-aware game, and it would make fun of like the hero trying to do heroic things when they were obviously doing things to not be heroic but to like get something, out of it for themselves, right? So so that's a normal thing that happens, right? So one of the things that I've been thinking of, that I thought, like when I saw the trailer to begin with, I didn't never thought that was the main character. I thought that was like, um it's like that suave Jack guy. You're the hero, or you see the hero come to a town and he's greeted by a guy who's like, he's like, haha, but I am the real hero because and he's just such a flawed character, but he doesn't realize it.
mm,
And he's such a, he's such a comical, like, because he's a villain. He thinks he's the good guy, but he's the actual villain.
yeah.
And to me, I always thought that was the kind of the right hand person of the guy who's kind of like pulling the strings in the background. And that what you were seeing is you're seeing this like unlikable character who's like, yes, I am the best person. And I thought it was a reference or like a statement based off of like the Karens of today, right? I
Mm,
hate using, I don't hate using that term, but it's the most accurate term. It's like you've got these people who are, extremely self-absorbed, extremely selfish, extremely like arrogant. They like homeowners associations. It's those people. It's like, we thought that you had a German Shepherd. We have a no German Shepherd rule. Yeah, it's my CNI dog. Yeah, well, we don't really believe that. We're gonna have to see paperwork for it, and you're gonna have to demonstrate exactly, what this is. We don't like German Shepherds because they're very aggressive dogs. It's like, lady, like, just like, I can't say anything or I'm gonna get really upset. I see this stuff. That's one of the things that shows up on on my YouTube feed all the time, is like homeowner association like nightmare stories, and it's like they are so terrible. It is so terrible. It's so awful. I don't know why anybody's in one at all. It's like
yeah.
like they are run by, I think if you do an investigation into homeowners associations, I have yet to hear an investigation into a homeowners association that has proven that the homeowners association was not largely corrupt, like
Uh,
filing money away into side things, seizing property that wasn't there, using legal manipulation to get what they want, blatant like absolutely blatant, like, they'll kick somebody out that they don't like. It's very clicky. It's very like it's run by a bunch of like winos that just they have nothing to do but ruin other people's lives, and they get entertainment out of that. It's like those kinds of people. And
Goodness.
that's what I see when I look at this character. It's like it's a reference to that, or at least I thought it was. And I could 100. I haven't played the game. I have
Now,
no inside info on this studio. It's one of the few studios that I was never really like interested or good at of gaining some kind of like foot in the door. And so I don't know if the game is good or bad. And it could legitimately be either one or both, right? Like it's like so them saying that they're taking it back, I do hope that they showcase it right. Like this is the same kind of this is the trailer where like a fairy was eaten by a frog, right? Like it's like I'm not expecting this to be like serious. I'm expecting this to be tongue in cheek. It's like, the hero's getting lectured by essentially a wino that's like this like um tyrant disguising
now,
themselves as a hero.
don't get me okay. So don't get me wrong. I'd like to believe that this game might be good, but with the current state of gaming, it's probably a big fat maybe. I don't know. Like, there's no guarantee that these games are going to be good because most games nowadays suck, especially when they're AAA games. So,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm being cautiously optimistic when it comes to this. But with the way that they've been advertising this game, it seems like it's very political heavy, because they came out with the trailer. Everyone knows that the woman was purposely uglified. If you actually look at the model that if you look at the model who did the facial scanning, she is absolutely gorgeous IRL, but in the trailer she looks god awful ugly. And that shit's on purpose. It's not because they,
I
oh,
I
something's wrong
will.
with the technology. No, was it Cal Kestis from
Mm-hmm,
I guess I
mm-hmm.
keep using him as an example. Cal Kestis from Fallen oh god, Star Wars Fallen Empire. God darn it, I keep forgetting it. But you know what I mean. Cal Kestis, they perfectly scanned his face and reconstructed it in the game, like the actor's face, and they did it to was it Starkiller in that one Star Wars game like 15 years ago. They were able to do that, and then all of a sudden suddenly our great technology that's more advanced than it ever has been suddenly stops working. Get out with that. I am getting so sick and tired of them saying, oh well, there's something wrong with the technology. No, they're doing this crud on purpose, guys. They always do this on purpose. Uh, no, we're not gonna. I was gonna bring up The Witcher 4, but we're not gonna get into that. We'll bring that up later. But it's just they keep doing these things on purpose, and I'm getting very fed up about it because it's very obvious. But they pretend, the developers and the journalists pretend like there's nothing wrong with what they're doing. Like it's not
Mm-hmm.
offensive to women, but whatever, it's just the opinion of a woman. I guess my opinion doesn't matter because I'm a woman. Anyways, so not only did they change the look of the model on purpose, but they also made the companion. Is he a companion? Like, you're supposed to be his squire or something. Like, I assume you tag along with him, but he seems pretty incompetent. There was another trailer that came out, and he's supposed to be like this Sir Knight, but wait, is he kind of overweight? I forgot. I can't remember what he looks like, but he seems pretty, was it arrogant and overconfident, but he doesn't seem very good at what he does from what I garnered from the trailer. Don't get me wrong. I love arrogant characters who talk smack. I love those characters. They are always so entertaining. And when you're the one who has to correct like whatever mistakes they did and they have a hard time telling you thank you, I don't know. I find them like they frustrate me, but I find them so endearing, and I just love those type of characters. So I know I'm going to love him. But even even with that knowledge, I know they did that stuff on purpose because they just want to show how men are incompetent, but a female character is more competent than them because it's very politically charged. Now they'll say, no, that's not what we're saying. He's a flawed character. We're not saying that. It's like, oh, so he just so happens to be a white male who's blonde and is a bumbling idiot and doesn't know how, while the female
Right.
character is a strong hero, but for some reason butt ugly because
I'm
we don't want to
I'm gonna
sexualize
laugh.
women.
I'm gonna laugh so hard if at the end of this Fable game you discover you discover like a magic mirror, right? And it's inverted the world into the worst forms of itself, and you smash the mirror and break the enchantment on it or something like that. And then all of those characters are flipped. So now that one guy is like actually the smart, brave, true hero. The princess is actually the woman who's now beautiful again and who's like elegant and intelligent and smart and and all this stuff just gets inverted. And I think that would be so funny. I think that
Wow,
would be so funny.
that sounds so interesting and like really good
Mm-hmm.
writing.
Mm-hmm. Right?
We
You
would
could
hope for really good writing for the game. But now, okay, now that we have established that they were very heavy-handed with their political messaging in the trailers, what are the odds that they were very heavy-handed politically in the game? I think that's very
like
likely,
off
especially
like
during the time it was
yeah,
being
being
marketed.
developed. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
developed and
this
marketed.
is
It was very political centric around that time.
Yeah. And I mean, you just look at all the games that we have right now, and you see a boatload of political messaging that is modern day issues that have their places for debate and critical conversation. That there isn't any of that. All there is just somebody with a giant rubber mallet bashing you over the head, saying, "Why don't you like the game? Why don't you like the game?
It's
Why don't
like
you like the game?" And
it's
it's like,
like
well, because it's
you're playing a fantasy game and you're stopping a horde of demons
mhm.
from taking over the kingdom. And
Like
it's
one of the
jarring when
things,
someone brings up climate change.
right? And and the thing that you have to remember is that it's not like we have a lack. Like, Hollywood sometimes says that they've run out of stories to tell. It's like you clearly haven't checked out Japanese manga recently at all. Like,
They
you
haven't
could
come
make
they
any of
haven't
these games based off of the number. Like, just take the top 50 stories, mangas that are selling that have been written in the last like 3 years. It's like take any of them, utilize those story beats, those story characters, and I guarantee you'll have a smashing hit on your hand. Like, that's the way to write some of these characters. What was that one
they
game
haven't
where
they haven't run out of stories to tell. They just don't want to make any more stories.
yeah,
They don't
probably.
want to like they don't want to make some of the well-written movies out there, they just haven't made them because, oh, it's not diverse enough. Oh, the main character is a white male. Oh, you can't do this because it'll offend somebody. That's the main reason why you don't see a lot of good movies made nowadays, is because they're just so politically centric. Everything's so they're like, oh, everything's so yeah. Everything's so political. Everything is. Like you can't make movies without being diverse or with forced diversity. You can't make games without forced diversity. And it's like it's not even good diversity. It's like really heavy-handed. Ugh.
Yeah, it's it's there because they're trying to force it's there. They're trying to force a story. They're trying to force a thing. They're trying to force something so that they can say, hey, look at this. Look at it's. I mean, it's the it's the attempt at
They say they
going, look at me, how good I am. I'm the greatest person here. And you see that with a lot of people. And again, it's like conversations like this are meant to be had, in like a logical debate where you can like address the issues, like truly address the issues. Like sit down. If you can't verbalize your opponent's viewpoint perfectly and have them agree that you understand the viewpoint, then you probably don't understand what's going on. And I guarantee you none of the writers behind this stuff are
I mean, it's
can
not
can
just.
quote the side that they're labeling as evil, that they're trying to bash you over the head with and
I
go,
mean,
you have to believe this.
it's because they. Okay, there's a lot of things wrong with their viewpoints. Is because if you actually hold their viewpoints over a thing of water, it crumbles like dust. That's one thing, and the second is that they you need a certain understanding of like complexity, and that not everything is black and white. But and the problem is that they see everything as black and white,
Hmm.
and yeah, they're like nuance. What the heck is nuance? Hiss. Uh, make a cross with your fingers. Hiss. No nuance. No certain people bad. Always bad. There's no nuance. I don't know what that is. That requires a certain degree of emotional and mental maturity that I don't think they have, honestly. But getting back to Fable, uh, I think the reason why, in my opinion, I think the reason why that they're delaying it for another year is because they realized the political landscape has changed, and so they're probably gonna scrub some of the politically charged content in it. Not, I don't think they'll get rid of all of it. I just think they'll get rid of some of it. Like, cause let's be honest here, they're very prideful and they don't want to admit defeat, but they'll get rid of some of the content that is very was it current day contention talking points. But that's just what I think. What do you think, Saib? Do you think that they're just ironing out bugs or
No, I think they're obviously they're going for control. They're going for all this stuff because they know that they can, and that it because these they hired activists. They hired activists who aren't interested in a logical, kind-hearted debate. They truly believe that if they don't stomp and crush, it's like the Just Stop Oil people. It's like those people have iPhones. These people are wearing like it's kind of funny. I love
oh god.
watching these YouTube videos where they go into depth where they like hey, okay, here's this person. Let's look up this person. This person, let's see if we can find them online. Okay, here they are. They're a trust fund kid. Their
Oh
parents
god.
own like $42 billion worth of oil manufacturing and stuff like that. Or you find out that they're connected to something, some other random thing, and you're just like, are they just intentionally this bad? like what is going on here? This doesn't make any sense
it's
whatsoever.
it's social posturing. They
Yeah,
you know how some TikTokers or influencers on Instagram, you see how they get on these private jets or they got Gucci bags and they have like all these very luxurious products and wearing these fancy beautiful clothing only to find out later that they were just renting or for a day for like 30 minutes a private plane or
yeah,
renting
yeah.
renting a Gucci bag just to take a 3 second clip for TikTok. Like that's what it is. It's social posturing. You're making yourself out to be something that you're not, and that's what these activists are obviously doing. It's just wait, how did we get here on this conversation? Wait, what were we talking about
It's
earlier?
it's the it's the it, we were talking about the people who design these games and they're activists.
Oh right, yeah.
That
It's
yes,
just
it's
it's just
the people that are designing the games currently are activists. They're there to try and make
do
make
they
people
actually
feel or think a
do they
certain way.
yes, but do they actually understand the nuance of these like social uh interactions? The nuance. Like
I don't think they
do
do. Like the vast majority of the activists that you have these days, like the ones that are fit the bill of
because
what
they
I would say
say
extremists. Um,
that the was it like, white men are like oppressing everybody, but then you have like all these white men who are below, or who are like either middle class to like poor, or lower class, I guess. Gosh, lower class to the like, and just under the poverty line. And it's like, oh yes, it's the white. Sorry, it's just kind of dumb when you have like, yes, there are men who are white who have control over a company, but then you have all these other people who are not financially secure, who are struggling and stuff, but we don't talk about that. No, we gotta look at the one boogeyman and just label everybody who's in that gender and race. We just label them all as the bad guys, and it's like,
I think what it boils down to is that I mean this is definitely sidetracking here, but what I think it boils down to is there's a lot of very wealthy, very um,
they literally make the
James
1%.
Bondy villain types who honestly believe that the world would be better if there was no middle class. That the world should be divided into the ultra wealthy who know how to run humanity, and then the serfs who work for, to do whatever they need. And if they need to call, half of the population of the lower class, they have the right to just do it because it doesn't matter if it's the right thing to do or not. They're the people who know what to do. I think that they're I think you're joking yourself if you don't think they're those kinds of people. All you have to look at is a handful of countries like Russia, cough, that's currently doing that right now with people below them.
I'm just
And that's just the way that it's been
I'm just saying it's
for a
not
very long time.
I'm just saying it's
And
not logical to just label half the population as evil when it's literally just only the 1% that's
well, yeah,
you
it's
know
it's it's the people that are it's the people who fly to the climate conferences instead of just like what would be a good idea for you to do instead of burning an entire jet and sometimes more because you find out that this is one guy who like he's a big climate activist, right? When he goes to one of these conventions, he takes three jets. No, no, no.
three.
He doesn't take three jets, going from jet one to to two to two to three to location. No, 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 no. He takes three jets there because he's got all his personal luggage and assistants, but he doesn't want to fly in the same plane as his assistants because that would just kind of be yucky if you think about it. Like
What the
like
fuck?
sharing the airspace with somebody that you're paying to do a job for you who's not a pilot and or a waitress. Like that's just unacceptable. It's stuff like that, right? Like it's absolutely ludicrous. How about you just Skype into the phone call instead? Like I mean, I guess we can't say Skype anymore. I guess we have to say Teams. I guess you just Teams in to the meeting and you can talk about it. But then you might have some issues with that leaking, and you certainly wouldn't want that because of what. Anyways, we're really off base now. The point is that the people who make these games have always, not always, the people that they're making these types of games now are people who don't want, they want to tell you what to think. They don't want to present you with a moral problem and have you think about it in a deep, constructive way. Um, it's a Wonderful Life. It's a great example, right? It's just a Wonderful Life. It's this great movie from the old days, and it's really beautiful, and it makes you think about a lot of stuff that's really difficult to think about, and that's great. That's a good thing, and you had that in other games, right? And it's those kinds of things are brilliant and lovely, and you just really enjoy them. But then you look at the stupidity of what they're trying to do now, where it's like, no, no, you have to think this way. And if you don't think exactly, if you don't immediately bend the knee and bow and say, yes, Your Majesty, I shall do what you ask, and then run out and set fire to the forest because apparently apparently that's a thing, right? Like
Yeah.
that is a legitimate thing that they've been dealing with. So yeah, that's kind of mental and crazy. But yeah, somebody is asking in chat, good old Trick, is asking, and so we might as well use this opportunity to briefly to kind of change the subject. What I think about Mecha Break. Uh, they're asking if it's any good since it's in early access release right now. I have been so yes, I have played it. We didn't plan to talk about it, but I'll go into it very quickly. So Mecha Break is an anime-esque anime mech style fighting. So not like so. There's two kinds of mech type games. There's the mech warrior ones where you're driving a massive unit that's very slow and methodical, that sometimes 40 50 stories tall, maybe not that tall, 30 40 feet tall for some of the ones, and then others are like even bigger, and they're very slow, they're very methodical, they have limited ammunition, and they fight slowly, versus the more anime style mecha action where it's like they move wicked fast, they're usually like very humanoid in their looks, and they fly at like they constantly break the Mach barrier, the sound barrier, because they're just moving so fast around the battlefield, and they have energy swords and stuff like that. That's this one. And you do have a character creator in it, and you can make your character look however you want to. And this has gotten it's been called a gooner game because of that, because you
Oh
can
yeah,
make
I wanted to get in the topic of that, but I don't know if you.
yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
well, so yeah, we could talk about that, but just quickly, it is currently sitting at it's currently sitting at mostly negative, 8,000 negative comments in the last like couple of days. Why is the majority negative? Um, it got review bombed because they had to take the servers down for maintenance.
Okay. Wow,
So
okay.
there's that. Now there's other people complaining that it's a cash grab and that there's this kind of stuff. So far, I mean the store is not on currently. I am finding this game completely acceptable. I don't know, and that's the problem with any kind of microtransaction based game, is that there will always be the risk of them, if they want to ruin the game. Literally all they have to do is go, here's a new mech that will stomp all of the other mechs unless you have one on your team, and by the way it costs $500 on average because you have to roll for it randomly, right? Like those are the kinds of problems that you can have a lot. And there's some balancing issues. The game is in early access. I've gone through a whole bunch of negative comments, and the vast majority of them I would immediately disqualify and say that their complaints are absolutely stupid, if not absolutely inane. There are people who um, there are people who've spent less than 2 hours on this game who are reviewing it bad, and they're saying things like, "I don't like the tutorial." It's like, well, the tutorial is literally like, it's like whenever you're playing the tutorial, it's in big bold letters. It's like, not finalized, work in progress. So at that point, if it's in early access, just make it aware of it. You don't have to say this game is bad, it will
I,
be terrible.
I
Don't
mean, it's
run
just a
away.
demo that's released so far.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
I looked
there
at
is
their
there
sorry,
is
real
some
quick.
some ant. Go ahead.
Real quick, I just looked at what other games that they made, and the other game that they produced was Snowbreak Containment Zone, and that
hmm
seems pretty much what. I mean, it's different. It's definitely a waifu game. Not gonna lie, there's like different waifus that you can
Well,
interact
this
with.
one you make your own waifu, because you can make your own character. I mean, you don't, and it's not just girls. You can make guys too. And there's some I could I could clearly tell. It's really kind of funny. It's like I can clearly tell. I'm like, okay, that dude's a regular like bro dude who's playing that account. This person is a girl playing as a guy character because she made him look the most effeminate possible, with like clearly like feelings for some of the other guys. At first I thought it was you. And then there's other people who are playing like cute, adorable, like tiny little girls, and then there's other people who are playing like just like ridiculously oversized, tall, gorgeous, like step on me ladies. Uh, so yeah, obviously crazy, silly, and I look at it and I'm like, it's not the worst game. Like by far, it's definitely not the worst game out there. It's, as far as mech games go, it's probably the best mech game I've played in a while from the Asian variant. Right up there with the other mech game that just came out last year, which I can't remember the name of. But it was pretty good. Like Aswin Gold played it, a bunch of other people played it. It's genuinely like really really good. I don't like the fast paced action, but I tried this one and I was like, this one's okay. It's kind of
Wait,
cool. It's got a long way, I would say.
you can have husbands and waifus in this game?
Yeah, you make your own.
Wait, oh, I thought you meant you interacted with other NPCs.
Yes, you can interact with other NPCs. I don't know to what level they're going to take the interactability. If you look at the previous game, there was a lot of like romance stuff that you could do. So I don't know. It's an interesting idea. So yeah.
Okay, okay. I mean, it looks pretty good, and as a RPG player who loves making their own characters, like the customization looks really good. I might play it to get a feel for it. But yeah, I think it looks good. But some of the scenes that some of these clips, it looks like it's gonna kill my PC though, because it seems very intense. Some of the graphics and animations and stuff. Because I tried to play was it Wukong, Black Myth Wukong. I tried playing that
Hmm.
and I couldn't even play it at high fidelity because it really strained my PC. So
Hmm.
if I want to play this game, I'm gonna have to turn the settings down real low. But yeah, it looks pretty good though.
Yeah, no, it's like I like mech games. I'm still trying to play through the list that I have. I do not have a lot of time these days. But yeah, so like Mech Warrior Clans, love it. It's I haven't been able to finish the story, so I barely have like 6 hours in the game. It's really depressing. Um, but yeah, I like mecha games, so when I saw this, I was like, oh, cool. So I managed to get in. How much does it show me? Okay, so so it says I have 70 hours playing it.
Oh
I do
wow.
not have 70 I do not have 70 hours playing it. There's a launcher that I didn't realize counted towards the game time being up, and I've had the launcher open for the weekend since like Friday.
Ah,
So I'm going to assume that it's just been counting all those hours because yeah. Um, so yeah, the launcher. Now again, the anti-cheat on it, like I just wish that they'd kind of move away from this kernel level garbage stuff. Obviously a problem. Some games, when they have it in there, it's so aggressive and controlling that it actually makes it so that my computer won't run it because I have security things on my computer, and it's if it detects something that's doing something that it shouldn't, that it has no right to do in any way, shape, or form, it just goes nope. And there's games that I just can't play that do that. So yeah, this is like that's not good, obviously, and I hope that they scale that stuff back because it's dumb to have it. I really, excuse me, I really wonder how on earth these companies that have been selling these like anti-cheat things, how they've been getting away with convincing people that this is a good idea. It is not a good idea. It is a terrible idea. You're lining up your game to become a huge problem. So, anyways, on to Gunner
uh,
content.
yeah.
What's
So
what's your thoughts?
Okay,
And I
so
realize
everyone,
that could be read a completely wrong way. I don't mean it that way.
we're talking about the nuance, guys. The new, okay, well, we're talking about the discussion as a whole, like
Mhm.
we're talk. Anyways, okay, so everyone came out with Mecha Break and then talking about it being Gooner bait, and that's the only reason why it's possible. And recently, I also like I saw one of my favorite YouTubers making a video talking about Mecha Break and stuff like that. Being Gooner content. And then
Mhm.
I saw another video talking about Love and Deep Space. And for those of you who don't know what Love and Deep Space is, it's a tome, a woman with multiple male options to romance, and it's very romance heavy, but it's very popular from what I understand because the story's really good, it's very well written, and the graphics for the game are incredibly good. And was it the way that you interact with these characters, especially when it's like a phone game, seems very advanced for a phone game. Like you can like actually have a lot of interactions and a lot of scenes play that you usually get from a AAA game, not like a phone game, which in my opinion is like really incredible. And I'm totally trying not to figure out how to get it on my computer or anything like that. Of course not. Anyways, but on the was it for Love in Deep Space, I heard there was a video that I watched, and apparently that's getting backlash on like the female, well, I wouldn't say the female side, on the male side, because females, women, and some gay men love in Deep Space. They love that game. But men are calling it Gooner bait for women because recently there was an update and there was a new mechanic added to the game where it tracks a woman's monthly rotation, if that makes sense. And if
Wait, how? Like in the game or like the player playing it?
the player playing the game, they can keep track of your rotation. They can keep track of
Oh,
a woman's rotation.
how?
You can actually put in the information. Like that's why there's actually apps out there for women to keep a track of their cycle.
Yeah, I'm familiar with
It's
that.
it's
It's
it's pretty
just
much
so
like
you're just
that.
linking so you're linking the okay, so you're linking the account with it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's like if they have access to the app in order to get that information, or you have to put it in yourself into the game to get that information. But what it is just extra content for the player because was it if you're going through, your moods and your cravings and stuff, they'll send you messages, they'll give you message yeah, they'll send you messages, they'll leave like voice recordings and stuff to support you through your, tumultuous times. And for that distinct reason, which is very funny because this was also a point in the video talking about Love and Deep Space, which I find very funny because it's this mechanic that has men in an uproar, but not the previous content, which is very spicy, might I add. Let's just say there was blindfolding and questionable things going on. That wasn't what got them mad and saying it was Gunner bait. No, it was the wholesome, supportive, you know, psycho mechanic that was considered the Gunner bait. I was like, what? Like, I just
That seems like crazily manipulative, but then there are like romance apps out there where like I assume they're doing the same thing.
I mean, I wouldn't
This is
I
so
don't
weird.
personally, I don't think that they're doing that. I think maybe now it's going to be more of a trend because Love in Deep Space is so popular, and that since they added that mechanic, it might inspire other romance centric games to do that. I don't know. But I just thought it was funny because first you have Mecha Break, and then you have women yelling how it sexualizes women, It's degrading. It's gooner bait. That's the only reason why it's popular. And then you have on the other side Love and Deep Space, and they're like, men are like, I can't believe they're stealing. The 2D men are stealing our women. This like we're never. It's disgusting gooner bait for women, and it's like, guys, it's like, okay, so you can't you can't you can't say that like you should be able to do these things in games. Like you can't say and then get mad when women do it. Like I'm all for like not censorship when it comes to like having very attractive characters, either female or male. Like I'm totally for supporting attractive characters in every game. And I really hate that they're desexualizing female characters in video games to the point where they're just butt ugly, because I just find that very offensive. I would,
Mhm.
and it's statistically known, women prefer to play attractive characters, even like they prefer to play attractive female characters. It has been scientifically proven. But when we finally have, like, I feel like it's very hypocritical for us to be mad at each other, because it seems like one side, men can't get what they want, and on the other side, for some reason, females can't get what they want when it's a female centric game. And then you have this mecha game and it's a male centric game. Of course, you're gonna have the things that the other gender likes in the game. Like, I think we're being a little hypocritical. Like, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to be fighting about this when we're all in agreement as gamers that we like attractive characters in games. Like, we all prefer to have that than the alternative. I just think this is a weird. I think it's I think it's a weird thing to get mad at each other about. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some of these people who are raising an argument for this kind of thing, I feel like they're only doing that because they don't actually play games. It's usually the people who don't play games that, cry about this stuff. But yeah, it just doesn't make it doesn't it doesn't really make much sense to be doing this.
That's
But
weird.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
just,
that's 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 weird.
yeah, I guess you could also say that like on another note, people who don't understand games, they're like saying that, oh, if you play a game with any kind of spicy content in it, you're a gooner and that's all you ever do. And it's like, well, you can enjoy something that's aesthetically pleasing and it not be gooner bait. Like, it's possible to do that. Like, not
Kill a
everything not
Kill
everything is
is one of
spicy.
Kill a Kill is one of the greatest stories ever written, and if you think it's just gooner bait,
I
you
know.
don't understand.
I watched Kill la Kill, and the philosophy underneath all the absurdity was so good. I was like, what?
The
I was
the
like, that makes
absurdity is there
uh,
for a reason. Like, it's supposed to be there.
like I was like,
Like,
that's I was like, this writing is so good, but it's so out of pocket though. It's so
mhm.
like they equate uh uh oh god, I don't know how to say this. They equate the freedom of exhibitionist. Can I say that?
Yeah,
The
you can say that.
they
You
they
know,
they equate,
exhibitionist, somebody who really likes showing off their
yeah.
cooking skills, especially making sandwiches.
They equate the philosophy of like being an exhibitionist is freedom itself, but wearing clothes is oppression. And the way that they freaking do it in the show, I'm like,
Yeah,
what?
it's pretty
They're
hilarious.
like the what's it? Those the people above force us to wear force us to wear clothes, but we must embrace freedom and not wear clothes as a symbol, as a symbol to fight against their oppression.
So if anybody's not following, clothes in this universe are it is straight up oppression because the clothes themselves are alive and they are trying to eat the people who are wearing them, and you're a slave to it's like there's like five levels of like social commentary on this. There's the commentary that you're, there are people who are, who they value they value the clothes, they value the wearing stuff to control, to manipulate, to set societal standards,
Oh
to
my
do all
god,
this kind of stuff.
nuance.
Yeah, tons of nuance in this. It's actually like legitimately, it is legitimately really really great. Um, but yeah, it's like you have this kind of stuff, and there's all these other like aspects to it, and it is very very cool. But it's just a question of like, how like they're using the story to write this very very interesting fascinating story, and I think it's great. I think it's marvelously well done. But yeah, there's some people who they kind of miss it for, they miss the forest for the trees essentially. So
But yeah, it's just, but like what I'm trying to say is that like you can have these you can have these media that has some spiciness to it, not gonna lie, but you can also have like, going back to nuance, you can have good storytelling, you can have good characterization of like, side characters and stuff like that, of romance options and things like that. It just seems a little silly because we're all adults here. It's just, I don't know. It's just, I feel like the people crying about it are like 50-year-old 50-year-old parents who are like, my child should not be looking at this stuff. And it's like, well, it's not children who are playing these games. It's literally the 20 to 30-year-olds who are playing these games. Like, I don't know. It just seems ridiculous. But getting back on topic, Warner Bros. Gaming, I don't know what they called their gaming department. Warner Bros. Gaming, I'm assuming, is shutting down about 3 of their studios. It says Monolith Productions, Player First Games, and Warner Bros. San Diego. I do know that I'm not sure what games are associated with those studios, but I do know that one of the games was a Warner Brothers multiplayer game where they had every cartoon IP show up in the game, like Samurai Jack, Batman the Animated Series, Scooby Doo. They had all these characters. They had Beetlejuice come in. They had Rick and Morty. I assume they had Rick and Morty. I think I saw Rick in there. I could be wrong. But they had all these the good like, this was actually a good concept. It's like pretty much Marvel Rivals. Like, they had all these big name IPs that under their umbrella that they could have used as a multiplayer game. What shot them in the foot was that they held back was microtransactions. That's what shot them in the foot. They held back content behind a paywall because they wanted money. They only released like maybe 5 free characters, and the other 20 you had to pay for. That's how bad the monetization was. And
yeah,
apparently they were drip feeding characters. Like, they would do trailers for like really cool characters that people were excited for, like Aku, who was the main antagonist for Samurai Jack. Aku was like a shadow demon. He would have been really cool. The Powerpuff Girls, I could be wrong. I think they were paywalled. Was it Mojo Jojo, a popular antagonist in the Powerpuff Girls.
Mojo Jojo. I love
Uh,
Mojo Jojo.
yeah, they,
I don't love him as a character. I just love the voice dialogue lines that he does. They're so hilarious.
yeah.
Such a great voice actor for that. Just amazing job. Good writers. That's the way you make an interesting Saturday morning
Dude,
cartoon villain.
him was such a really scary but intriguing character. But like him was basically Satan in the Powerpuff Girls or a dimension demon, but I assumed he
Yeah.
was like some form of Lucifer, but he was a I liked him as a character. But they had a roster, dude. They had a roster that could have been the next Marvel rivals.
Yeah. Like
But
they had the chance to really make that game really really good, and all they had to do was not jerk people around constantly while treating them like garbage. It's like that's all they had to do.
yeah, and was it one of the devs went to Twitter basically rightfully upset because they knew what the higher ups were doing was ruining the game. So they revealed that they had characters ready to go. They had characters ready to be added to the game. It was like 10 characters that people were asking for, and that they were like that they were most of them were done. Maybe one or two they were still working on, but most of them were done. And these are all really popular characters. But the reason why they weren't in the game was because they were hold off as DLC to be added
Yeah.
later, like way
Yeah.
down the line, months in
Just
advance.
not like they could oh man, they ah the whole process from beginning to end was just such an absolute screw up. They completely failed in every way, shape, or form on that game. And the fact that the biggest headline I remember from it is the fact that they had some like dumb like graphics issue. People were complaining about that. People who didn't buy or play the game, by the way.
Ugh.
Just so you know. These people were are not your customers. They're not anything. They are just
It could have been the
stupid
next Smash
morons who
Bros.
yeah, just like they don't do anything. It could have been so good, and all they had to do was do it right. But
Heck,
they didn't do it right.
They could have made it a $70 game, and all you had to do was like, was it like I wouldn't say power progression, like level progression. The game, you know how back in the day you would just beat some levels and then you'd unlock a character. They could have done that, and they could have been the next Smash Bros. Like they really dropped the ball on this. Like it's ridiculous. I swear Warner Bros. Is like was it 5 years behind the whole gaming industry. That's what it feels like. But then let's be honest, every AAA game has been a microtransaction riddled mess. So they're
Yeah,
just following following the trail, I guess. But it's
it's
very
and it,
disappointing to see.
yeah no and again this is like to screw this up. You have to be such an idiot. Like you literally have to know nothing about the industry, nothing about what's going on, nothing about the complaints of the industry. And the guy that they had running it had no idea what like I mean the people that were in charge of the Warner Brothers side, film side and the video game side were people who were not passionate about games, didn't know anything about them, didn't know the culture at all, didn't know like they couldn't tell you a single video gaming meme. These people are complete and total idiots who have absolutely no conception of how to run a company, how to do this whatsoever. They're just complete and total failures, and they failed up constantly. One of the guy who I think was one of the guys who was put in charge of it, he was the guy who was in charge of the Rock Band franchise when it went from being a household game, being played almost everywhere all the time, to being a nothing burger that nobody remembers. That's that idiot. That idiot somehow was like, ah, yeah, no, I know what to do. and he somehow got the job, even though he had just failed so catastrophically that he basically destroyed an entire franchise. Single handedly, one of the dumbest mistakes you could ever make. And again, to this day, I'm like, I look at these people, they're hired, they're put in charge of this stuff, and I'm like, are you stupid? How stupid do you have to be? How absolutely inept do you have to be at your job that you could take a thing like Rock Band and throw it in the gutter and just stomp on it? It's like you have to have a special level of stupidity, a special level of absolute cluelessness to think that this is a good idea. You absolute buffoon.
Uh,
So yeah,
on that note, how did Rockstar lose relevancy? Was it like too much
rock. Did I
monetization of
say
the
rock star or rock band?
Rock Band? Sorry, did I say
Yes,
Rockstar?
yes,
Sorry, I meant Rock
yeah,
Band.
yeah. Um, it was a lot of little things. It was a ton of little things. It was they didn't embrace the meme culture. They didn't embrace the play culture. They refused to work out deals for streaming, for all the stuff that Beat Saber does, or
Okay.
yeah. It's like they
They
just
didn't
dropped the ball on basically
they
everything.
didn't get with the popular trends, I see.
Well, they didn't follow like best practices. It's like the
Mm.
best, most logical point of access is like legitimately like pretty straightforward, but they didn't do that because they are just too stupid.
God, I really hate
So,
was it is it gatekeeping? Like I hate it when companies
yeah, the
like
gatekeepers, yeah.
withhold access to the
Hmm.
game. Like there's a couple games on stream that sorry, not on stream. There's a couple games on Steam that I wanted to stream, but they literally have this specific thing written down below that they're like, "Oh, you can only do 20% of the game can be
Hmm.
streamed." And I'm like, "What?" And then another game is like, "Oh, you can only stream the first chapter, but that's it. You can't stream the rest." And I'm like, "What? I can't stream the rest of the."
Yeah, again, it's so it's there's a lot of like there are some reasons and concepts for it. It is not a good way of coming at it. It's a very dumb way of looking at it, and they don't listen to what they're going for, and it's so annoying because it's like dude, everything is just here. All you have to do is follow what
Like
everybody else does that makes it successful.
if you
And yeah.
like, do you know how many indie games have gone like viral overnight because streamers were streaming the game? Like you're
Mhm.
I feel like some devs are like intentionally like holding themselves back because of this. It
Yeah, I would say generally, there's a lot of issues with that kind of aspect. How they are intentionally holding stuff back and causing failures because of essentially it boils down to like pride and
yeah.
and again there are some bad actors in the streaming world. Of course there's some bad actors in the streaming world. There are a lot of bad actors in the streaming world. um, but reminder, most of them don't do very well. There are some bad streamers who for a time period get some level of like success, uh, but for the majority of cases it is not it's not something that's it doesn't last as long as what some people think it does.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, and I didn't want to say his name, but the whole there's a nuisance streamer who's stuck in Korea awaiting prison. He's awaiting trial,
Oh,
which will
yeah.
quickly follow into a prison sentence. Couldn't happen to a nicer giant piece of garbage
Yeah.
just like somebody who goes around. And again, there are those issues. There are issues with people who And this is an issue that's in Japan, right? So this issue is in Japan where they take these games and then they get like early access to it, and then they go in and they spoil the plot for everybody. Um, and that's a serious issue. Like that's genuinely a serious issue. And I don't have an easy, quick answer that I can just think of off the top of my head, but just generally speaking, it's like those people are trash. They're terrible, and it's not like they're like speed running the game. No, no, no. They're intentionally like finding exploits, hacks, and stuff like that to push to the end of the game so that they can spoil it as quickly as possible, and then they go around online and they post the spoilers to as many people as they can. And
I feel
they
like it's
think
not
that
really a
this is a
Japanese thing, but mostly like I don't know. I feel like that's just a troll
in
gamer
the no
mindset
in the
sometimes.
in in the particular cases that I'm aware of that where there's some like legal issues. There could be others where there hasn't really been a lot of outcry, but in the particular one that I know of, is the guy was definitely trying to do it to try and ruin the release of the game for some reason. Again, I can't say 100% that's what it, but it leaned heavily towards him like admitting that that's what he was doing, because again, it's not like he was playing through the story in a logical process, trying, no, he was creating, and he also didn't add any transformative content to it. He did, it's not like him like playing like, hey guys, we're trying to finish this game today, I just picked it up, check it out on sale. No, it was like just streaming the end of the game, like no model, no
Oh, okay. I see what you
camera,
mean. I see.
just streaming the end of the game, and then occasionally would like comment and say like, I hate this creator, I hope he dies because he didn't add this one particular thing to this one particular scene in the last game that he worked on that I think he should have added to it. And again, I've worked with a lot of Japanese game developers over the years, and this is something that some of them face and some of them do. And I hate to say that, but there is a group of people who will, of developers who will look at another project and they will hate that project and hate those developers so much that they will go out of their way to ruin their game. As much as like, trying to like hack it, mod it, put out some hacks that break the game or cause some other stuff like that. Again, I can't really explain why they do this because it doesn't make sense to me. They just don't seem to like care or value the content creator at all. So it's or the not the content creator like us, the developer, right? The
Mm-hmm.
developer. They don't like the developer. They want the developer to suffer, or the writer or whoever is involved in it. So they go out of their way to like trash it. And again, really weird. Genuinely really weird behavior. Very confusing. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's still it's okay.
Yeah.
It's weird. Hmm.
Unfortunately, we get was it trends like that, but yeah, just like anywhere else you see with movies, when it comes to gaming content, like be wary of spoilers and stuff. But
Yeah, and
did
apparently, just as a quick reminder, beware of games because there was a game that was caught putting
someone's knocking on my door. One second.
somebody was caught putting direct malware into a game on Steam. Crazy story. I haven't been able to track it very fully, but yeah, definitely kind of crazy and out there. Don't do that. Like avoid stuff like that. Avoid any kind of like tiny indie game that comes out of nowhere and it seems kind of sus. Like you don't have to install it. You can literally wait a little bit, right? Like you can literally like be like, okay, maybe we won't necessarily jump into this immediately, kind of thing. So yeah, just be aware of that. Other than that, the Steam Next Fest is out right now, doing what again? What is this? This is. I thought there was a particular theme to it, but there's not. It's just the next Steam Next Fest. So yeah, check that out if you're into those kinds of games. I'm going through it. I'm trying to look for some good stuff. There does seem to be some good stuff. The best one is Mecha Break. I do like it for the most part. It does seem quite fun. I found a couple of roguelite slash like games that have some cool aspects to it. I see this one, Shadow Veil. Just scrolling through the list looks great. Oh, here we go. Oh, this game. Oh, this looks like a lot of fun. It is called the Great Villainess Strategy of Lily, and it's literally about a girl trying to take over the world. I think this is hilarious. I wonder if it's an isekai. Oh my goodness, these kinds of games are boatloads of fun. It's like this mix between like chibi, like 32-bit graphics and like looks like a web, not web, no, a visual novel. Um, that's hilarious. Mostly positive at 222 votes for mostly positive. Interesting. Gothic remake. It looks like this is we've got Gothic remake by THQ. Crazy insane. This came out. The demo came out. Yes, the demo came out a couple days ago. The full game is not out yet by the looks of it. Looks interesting. Looks better than some of the RPGs that have come out recently. I wonder how much of a remake it is to. Yeah, well, looks good. Very exciting. Yeah, I'm gonna. Yeah, it's on my wish list. Yeah, yep, it's been on my wish list for a while. I will try the demo out. Solasta 2 demo is out. This came. I heard about this. Looks like the demo just dropped. Yeah, Solasta 2. I think Solasta 1 was pretty good. I definitely picked it up, played it right before the Baldur's Gate stuff hit. Um, looks really good if you're hankering for a new story, check this out. Absolutely beautiful. Looks great. Then what else we got? We got, like I said, Mecha Break. We've got, what is this game? Let's see if this is see what kind of game this is. This looks hilarious. It's a hero shooter called Black Stigma. Interesting. Character design all over the place. Interesting. Looks like it's a first-person shooter. It says third-person shooter, but I'm not seeing first-person shooter. Maybe I'm. Oh wow, there's Fatal Techniques. Interesting. I have no idea what that's about. Huh. I'm gonna start watching the little video here. I have not seen this yet. I'm turning the sound off. Black Stigma, Ultimate Heroes Action Shooter.
All right, I'm back.
Deadly firepower, superhuman skills, awakened instinct.
What are we doing?
I'm looking at this. I'm looking at the Steam Next Fest. I decided to kind of talk about some of the games that are out on highlight demos available today. So I'm kind of looking at that. Looks interesting. Black Stigma. It's like okay, yeah, it is third person. Okay, yeah, okay. Hero shooter, third person. Looks interesting. There seems to be some crazy. It's very gory, and there does seem to be a first person mode to it too. Interesting. Okay, I yeah, that looks pretty good. Yeah, that looks interesting. Other games that are out were Solasta 2. Solasta 2 is a demo out today, or like a couple days ago. We've got Gothic remake is out with a demo. Looks really good. You got I heard about this one just recently. Game of Thrones King's Road. I have no idea if that's going to be good or terrible or something in between.
Wait, I thought that was a mobile game.
Oh, yes, and apparently the demo for Dune Awakening is out. Totally forgot about this. I really should check this out. This looks potentially really good. I wonder how much of the demo it is because it says stupid hiccups. It says character creator and benchmark mode. Oh, now. So I don't think that's an actual full demo. I think that is just the ability to make your character and run a. I'm going to assume that you can run like a. Excuse me. Sorry, I had to cough. I think you can test your PC specs and make your character. Interesting. So, interesting. Okay. Crazy. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's great to have that out. Then there's I'm trying to figure out like which one of these other games I can talk about because I'm seeing a whole big Oh, here we go. Rail Gods and Hysteria. Hystera? This looks hilarious. This is a what kind of game is this? You're playing embark on a co-op survival journey for 1 to 5 players through post-apocalyptic Lovecraftian world. Command and evolve a living monstrous train, craft weapons, build a mobile base, gain powers, and face the great old ones. Hey, Reaver, want to face the great old ones together?
Is it like a co-op game?
It's 1 to 5 players, and
Oh
you
boy.
build a train, a monstrous Cthulhu train,
A monster
and
Cthulhu.
try to hold on to your sanity as you ascend to godhood.
Ooh, sounds
Oh,
interesting.
this is hilarious. I'm gonna add this to my wish list. Yeah, we're gonna probably check this out at some point. This is just the concept of this is hilarious. I love I love games like this. So one of the games that I really liked that never got made that I really wanted to get made was this game called Human Resources. And you played as like Cthulhu, um, some kind of like AI, like alien uh, people, and then as like gray goo, and you collected people, and the people were the resources that you use to try and like bring the end to the world. I thought it was such a cool idea. I thought it was such a cool concept, but it didn't make its funding goals, which
Oh,
sucks. I really I think that concept is hilarious. But
well,
yeah,
yeah, definitely sounds interesting.
so yeah, there's a couple other. I'm going through the list. I'm trying to find other good games. Oh, this one looks a little bit interesting. It's called Dragonkin the Banished. Looks looks interesting. Lots of customization to it for like combat, I think. Looks like. I'm going to assume so. Yes, maybe so. Yes, no, maybe so. Huh. The world looks really great, and apparently it's due out in like less than a week.
Hmm.
Interesting. Oh, it looks like it's coming to early access in a week. All right. March 6th. Looks great. Looks interesting. Plays almost like a MOBA or like a Diablo-esque like game. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna send this to Polly's because Polly's and I are looking for more Diablo-esque games to play.
Hmm.
So yeah.
That's good.
Oop, hit the wrong button there. Um yeah, so any other stories that we need to cover?
Xbox is making AI generated games.
Yeah, but so is Gronk on Twitter, so I
What?
mean
Really?
X. Yeah, it made a what do you call it? It made it basically a Doom game, like several Doom games, not just one. Like several people have used it to make several Doom style like traditional Doom style games with just a few prompts. So it is AI is moving very, very quickly. Um, it's going to start with this stuff, and then we'll see where it goes. Like there's always a potential for it to hit walls, or apparent or an ability for it to skip past walls. So yeah, interesting concept.
Hmm. It's just I don't. It seems like they're just trying to make. Was it? They're trying to make products for cheap. Because if you have AI making your products, you don't have to spend money hiring many
I
developers to make your games. Because you have just an AI that can just do whatever you want and create the games for you.
so part of that is yes, part of that is no. So one of the things, so when I'm looking at the AI stuff, what it does is it like I think that this is great because what I want ultimately is in the future, I want us to have the ability to basically just say, "Hey, computer, make me a game that has this, and this," and then it generates it just like in Star Trek with the holodeck. You just like, hey, make this game, make it like this, and import these characters or whatever. That's great because the big thing that it does is it neutralizes the big giant corpos that come in and say, hey, you can only play these games, like we've seen and like we complain about
It's
every
not.
week.
Look, if you're using AI in an indie sense, like okay, that makes sense. But it's it's these corpos who are making AI generated content. Like that's what I have a
Some
problem
of
with.
some of them, some of them, yes, but not all of them, and not concurrently. So I think looking at it,
What do
because
you?
again, I'm looking at this from like I'm looking at mostly I'm mostly looking at indie developers using these tools at the moment to make to shortcut the bulk of the creative process in the games, not not from the perspective of the people who are like the giant corpos that are using it to like remove a whole bunch of workers like artists and stuff like that. That's not,
I mean, they're
and
doing that
that's
even in
just
the
going to that's
movie
just going to kill them.
industry.
That's just going to kill them at some point, even faster, because that's just the way
Did you
that's
know?
going to happen.
Did you know Disney's already implementing AI generated stuff into their shows?
Oh yeah, yeah,
It was
no, of course,
horrible.
and
It
like
was.
Wizards of the Coast, doing all that kind of stuff. Yes, it is bad. That's not what I'm talking about. Like what I'm talking about, like and I mean that's going to happen regardless of what anything that we do today. Giant corporations are just going to do that because that's what they're going to do, and they're stupid enough to think that it'll work and that it won't come and eat them
Look,
later on
it's
down the
it's
road.
gotten to the point where it's been very blatant that corporations are not. Oh fuck, I had the word, but I totally forgot what it was called. What I said. They're not constrained. I don't know what the other
Yeah,
type of descriptor
yeah.
is for that, but they are not constrained, and because they're not constrained, they do whatever they want. And it's getting to the point
Mhm.
where it's like, okay, regulated, they're not regulated. Because they're not regulated and there's no laws in place to stop whatever it is they're doing, because was it technology is advancing so fast, the snail paced
There
courts
so
can't,
Yeah,
make
so there
laws
there is
fast
some
enough.
there are some rules that have been put into place. There's new rules on like how you design AI from the ground up. We actually had this talk on the authors podcast, new podcast coming soon, that we did recently, where again, yeah, there is some obviously like big holes with the way that it works and with the way that corporations are using it. But fast forward, like seriously, fast forward like anywhere between like 5 to 10 years, and the big gaming studios like EA, I really don't think they'll exist anymore. I think EA, Ubisoft, a whole bunch of other studios. I think they're all dead. I think they're all dead because they tried to jump into the AI thing too soon. They didn't realize that it was actually their downfall, that it was actually their stupidity coming alive and like consuming them. I think that they didn't think or realize or think this stuff through, and now they're gonna like it's gonna consume them. It's like
Okay,
they're trying to jump the shark.
I see your point.
What I'm excited for is for new creators who have an idea for a game to be able to make a game that's in and around the quality of like AAA. And yes, that means that there's going to be like an infinite pile of content created, but you have the exact same thing right now on YouTube and on like any social media. It's like there's basically an infinite number of content being made online constantly. And yeah, there's a lot of bad stuff, but the good stuff gets like risen to the top and is made like pretty well. So again, it's not perfect. There's definitely going to be some bumps along the road, and unfortunately there's going to be definitely some winners and losers, and that sucks. But it's like we can't we I would rather have this than giant megacorps come over and take over everything. So
Yeah.
and yeah,
Yeah.
so I like fingers crossed that it's not horrendous. um
So,
I think you'll like this game. There's a new game that I'm just checking out now. It's called Into the Dead: Our Darkest Days. It's like a side scroller, high like ultra high quality side scroller, where you're trying to survive a zombie outbreak in the 1980s.
ooh, okay.
That looks really interesting. I'm gonna check this out.
Link it. Link it.
Oh, I should have been linking this in the chat. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah, this okay, so there's this game. This game looks great. And again, it's like this cool, yeah, this looks very cool. Add to wish list. Absolutely. That looks really cool. It's sort of like this War of Mine, but with like zombies. So
Ooh.
cool.
This looks really good. This looks
It
creepy.
does it does look really good. I'm really excited to like check that out a little bit more.
But yeah, like I said, I agree that if it's a tool for, was it indie developers to help them make games and stuff, I feel, I don't know. I was gonna say I feel like it would be more safe in actual people who want to be creative, safe in their hands, such a tool. But then you see scams on Steam all the time of like people using. I wouldn't be surprised if they use generated AI content to scam people out of money. So because there
Yeah,
have
no,
been a
and
couple
and
of
and that's
scams.
yes, and that's I mean, I get hit up constantly by these. It's a big problem on Discord right now. On Discord, you get all these like, hey, hey, I'm an artist. I'm looking to do art for you. And then you're like, yeah, and then they like high pressure sales tactic you into like giving them a down deposit to payment, and then they just generate something with like an old version. It's not even like a new version of like Chat GPT or something, or Gronk or something like that, like where it can actually make good images. It's like no, it or like Mid Journey and stuff like that. No, it uses like early level one stuff, and it's absolutely garbage. And it's just like it's just horrendous trash. And you're just like, oh yeah, okay, this is really terrible stuff, and it genuinely is really terrible stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, fingers crossed that we don't get like that. Those issues are like you know properly taken care of sooner rather than later. But at the same time, it's like I don't want the I don't want Disney and all the and EA and all these big companies controlling entertainment forever. And as scary as it is, with the ability to have everybody just create their own stuff, because there's bigger issues with that. It's like social cohesion. Like that's a thing that people don't really think about.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's an issue. Like we are we as a species are representative of the stories that we consume as a society. And what happens when everybody has different stories? Probably something not good. Like 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 genuinely probably something not good. Probably something that we are all going to regret at some point down the road. But is that better or worse than a giant corporation controlling it going forward and being able to do whatever they want, and you have to like come to them to have entertainment, and it's overpriced microtransaction garbage? Like, nothing makes me more excited for the game industry than something like free AI from, like, from like X or whatever, where it's like, hey, just tell it to make a video game for you, and it'll make a video game for you. And then you can customize the story, the characters, you can create whatever you want, and it's truly something unique and beautiful. And having that is 1,000 times
Oh
better.
no. Oh no. I was like, I can make a yaoi simulator game where with handsome yaoi
Hmm.
men that I can romance. I'm like, oh my god. That got me really like excited. I was like, oh my god, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Of course it would.
Use
So
it
so
for
yes,
nefarious purposes.
in a world where I have to choose between that, or I have to choose between Disney owning every source of media and entertainment that you could possibly get, and Kathleen Kennedy sitting there telling me that she is never going to die, that she's attained immortality, and the first thing she's going to do is take over every source of entertainment, and you are going to like whatever she makes for
Oh
you.
god.
It's like that's a nightmare. Obviously, it's a terrible, terrible concept that is horrifying in how like close we are to that right now, with all these giant corporations just like coming in, taking over stuff. Like, I mean, this whole Warner Brothers things. Like, now we've got half a dozen Warner Brother IP games that are probably going to die in some vault for the next like however long, right? And it's
Yeah.
just like that's just the future. That's what we have to deal with. That's the stupidity. That's how there's that's how we're gonna like deal with this stuff going forward. And it's like, that's terrible. And of course it's frustrating and annoying that we might have to, we might have to run around in circles with these other with AI and stuff like that, trying to find, or like having just endless content and stuff like that. But humans are really good at sorting through garbage, right? Like, genuinely really good at sorting through garbage. Like I could probably say a really bad joke about, like, third world countries, but I won't. But yeah, the ability for people to sort through, find really good games, and then to raise those up and create new IPs that everybody likes. It's like, I look at YouTube now, and it's like, yes, we have some nightmare situations on YouTube come up from time to time, but we also have a predominantly good source of like solid material coming out that makes it so that, you go, okay, this is fine. This works. And so you cross your fingers and you go, okay, right, maybe this will work, maybe this won't. We don't know yet. We'll see how it goes. This is going to be very, very interesting. So yeah,
Can't wait.
can't wait
So,
for the craziness that's coming.
oh yeah. So, the Callisto Protocol studio apparently has laid off a good number of employees, uh, but remains operational. And someone said parent company Crafton declined to provide numbers, but one former employee said most of the devs have been let go, which is disappointing to hear, but it's not unsurprising, especially because Callisto Protocol, it wasn't a smashing hit as it could have been, I'm not sure what happened with Callisto Protocol. And for those of you who don't know, Callisto Protocol is made by the original devs who made Dead Space. And then after, was it Dead Space 3? Uh, EA, as merciful and generous as they are known to be, axed the studio because the
Of course they did.
because they didn't was it reach the numbers or reach expectations that satisfied EA. I assume. I don't know what reason they gave, but
They, the reason is very simple. You're speaking of games that have Lovecraftian craziness in it. EA has a Lovecraftian horror god in their basement. In every few years, it demands the sacrifice of both IPs and developers and studios. So they march these people down. They feed them to the old god, and then they go, hail the new god coming to take over the world, because they think that they'll be the last ones eaten, or whatever BS that they've come up with. So yeah, that's what's going on here. That's what's always been going on here, and it's mentally. Mm,
now, yeah, it's obviously very frustrating, but EA does have the unfortunate reputation of axing its studios that garner them a lot of success. So the original devs who made Dead Space decided to make their own studio, and they put out a game called Castillo Protocol. And from what I can remember, what the game was about, because this game came out a couple years ago. From what I remember, is that you're a prisoner stranded on a planet, and alien life forms are taking over the station you're trapped on, and you have to fight to survive or fight to somehow get off the planet. And the premise is almost similar to Dead Space, and they they use the same mechanics that you would find on Dead Space. Uh, they used in Callisto Protocol because it was one of the main things that made Dead Space popular, and they knew how to make horror games in space. So Callisto Protocol is also the same vein as that. From what I understand, I haven't played the game myself. I wanted to play it and I had it wish listed, but I was obviously gonna wait until around, it was more in within my budget to get it. But from what I understand, after a while, people, I guess it seemed like they were playing it safe. It didn't seem like they it didn't seem like it was lacking potential, which is, like I said, very disappointing because these are the same, well, I can't say all the same people who were in who made Dead Space were in the new studio that they made, but the original minds behind Dead Space were involved in creating Callisto Protocol, but it didn't reach the success that it could have. Uh, Let me look up Callisto Protocol. What? It's not even on sale? God, it's not even on sale. Final Transmission? Oh, I didn't even know it came out with DLC. Ooh, that just goes to show how much it kind of... Okay, so it has like a lot of mixed reviews on it. God, but it looks so interesting though. I think it was like the repetitive gameplay. Oh,
hmm
hey, they have... I think... Wait, is that the guy who played Starkiller? Or is that someone else? Never mind, that's someone else. Never mind, they have same facial features. Anyways. Wait, that is him! I was right! What the heck? The guy who plays Starkiller's in this. What the fuck? Anyways.
That makes sense. He's a big nerd.
Yeah. Uh...
And I say nerd in a good way. In a good way, everybody. Don't jump down my throat. It's fine.
Yeah, someone said that Callisto Protocol is the perfect example of a game which crudely lacks ambition. So it feels like they didn't really
Yeah, they could have done better.
Yeah, that's disappointing. I think if I remember correctly, correct, obviously correct me, but if I understand, yeah, okay, I was right. Someone said it was under 10 hours. You can beat this game with under 10 hours. It's like it wasn't a very long game.
Yeah, it's short. Yeah, and
Uh,
for a short game, they probably maybe it's one of those things where it's like if you have a product and you try to sell the product for $100 each, you'll make less than if you try and sell it for $40 each. Um, that's just the way that it goes sometimes, and I know that it's wonky and it's weird, and there's a lot of people, a lot of like industry veterans who do not understand that concept. They go, well, we need to make $100 per video game if we're going to have 4,000, whatever, however many sales. But then
wait,
they stupidly,
they want 60 to 70, no, 80, 60, no, yeah, 60 to $80 for a 10-hour game.
yeah. And again, that's just, I
Honey, your
mean,
graphics aren't that good. Honey, your graphics don't
yeah,
look that great.
it's one of those things where you find a way to upsell them on additional stuff to kind of like say thank you for supporting us. It's the way that like anybody who uses like Patreon, Subscribestar, or uh, what is everybody using these days? It's on the tip of my tongue. I was just there earlier. Substack, stuff like that, where they're using that stuff now, and it's like that is the way that you can do this. Like, yeah, just yeah, yeah. And again, I don't understand why it's so hard for people to understand this sometimes. Like, I genuinely don't get it.
I think they thought that if they played it safe, uh it would garner enough interest and popularity that it would like inspire them to go the distance for the next game.
Hmm.
But because they played it safe, it actually hindered them a lot creatively, and apparently they released the game very buggy. There was like a lot of bugs, and not the fun kind of bugs, the bugs that make you apparently want to hit your head against the wall because it was just so frustrating. Like it's the type of bugs that hinder your progress, and no one likes that. No one likes those types of bugs that you have to constantly reload and replay and just trying to get further into the game, but you keep constantly hitting a wall. And that loses that unfortunately that loses the momentum of the was it the goodwill that they could have garnered for the game when it first released. It's just unfortunate. Yeah, I really wish that they didn't hold themselves back. I really wish that they went the distance with this game. They had the guy who plays Starkiller in it. Come on, guys. If there's one thing I can't stand, it's when games waste actor potential. I hate that so much.
Like
Freaking
Dinglebot.
Dinglebot, what?
Yeah, like the Dinglebot. That was
Dinglebot?
yeah. Peter Dinklage was
Oh,
he played the like the narrator slash like horror character on in the first Destiny game, and they
oh.
told him sound like a robot with no emotion or feeling. Well, it turns out that's a terrible idea.
Oh
I
yeah,
have
I forgot about that. Oh my God.
yeah, yeah.
That
I have
was
a I
such
have
a
a
that was such a controversy, and then they had to swap out actors because he did such a horrible job.
It
God, that
wasn't
was
he didn't do the horrible job. The director did the horrible job. The
of course
writer
it's
did a horrible job.
it
And
wasn't
and
Peter
he
Dinklage's
was
fault at all. Oh God.
he was just following orders. And to be fair, I am a, I've got a little bit of German in me, not a lot, but enough to understand that you don't make German jokes. You just, you need to follow orders.
Oh God. Sorry, that was such
Yes,
a
that is
that happened
that
so
is
long ago. That was years ago. Years, dude.
It's still
I
it's
can't believe
still
I
a
remember
good
that.
joke.
You just follow orders. Sorry. Anyways,
Yeah. Anyways,
but
yeah, we should finish up soon.
oh yeah, sorry. Anyways, yeah, it's just very disappointing because they obviously have talent, but I feel like they was it they, you can feel the insecurity because like it's a new studio
Hmm.
and it's their first game, and unfortunately, their pedigree wasn't enough to for them to make it past the finish line, as it were.
Right. Yeah.
Which I hope that if they do continue to make new games, if they're somehow watching this, don't hold yourselves back. Go the extra mile, go the extra distance. There's a reason why everyone loved Dead Space. Like, it was horror, it was visceral, it was scary, it was intense. And obviously, make sure you deliver a product that is ready to be delivered and not just push it out just for the sake of having it out. Like, obviously, no one likes bugs uh day one of, playing your game, especially bugs that hinder progress. But yeah, like, don't hold yourselves back creatively. Like, work together to make a solid good game that is worth $60 to $80. Because just playing a 10-hour single player story campaign for $60 to $80, are you insane? Like, it's not even was it an open world. It's not open world. It's not a multiplayer game. It is like it's like no co-op or anything. It is literally just a 10-hour, goodness gracious. Anyways, 10-hour single player game for $60. It's not worth it in my opinion. Though the graphics look amazing and that the story is probably okay. I don't know, it got mixed reviews. So I think it was the gameplay that was lacking. I think the story was good. I think people were complaining about the gameplay because it's very repetitive and there were like so many bugs. But yeah. Moving on. Apparently, uh was it Bioware co-founder uh has been talking about his dream of taking over EA from
He
the
he did.
inside.
No, he did. He
He
did a long
did?
time ago. Yeah, he dreamt of that. He tried to when they joined EA and they were working on. So
Oh,
if
okay.
SWOTOR, that's the MMO game that they had. If it had done well enough, they were going to be able to essentially take over EA from the inside, basically be able to create and get them to like do things that they hadn't, and make the changes that they felt like were important, right? Like this was a like this was a I will say this was a pipe dream, like 100%, because I don't think they were quite ready for it. They definitely should never have sold out to EA. It was one of the biggest mistakes in history. They needed to like just focus on growing their own brand, growing their own stuff. There was a big mess up, but yeah, and I can't remember if he was one of the original founders or whether he was one of the guys that was brought in later on. I have to double check who he was, but basically, it's like I'm pretty sure he was, but they were the doctors, and they sold out to EA with the hope that if SWOTOR did big enough, that they could essentially just take over EA from the inside, outstall the people that they thought were like creating unhealthy environments for the game, and that everything
Uh,
would have been better. And that was the goal, and clearly, obviously, had no success in it for
they
reasons.
they underestimated the power of the empire.
Yeah, they underestimated the power of the force.
Of the dark side.
Yeah. So and that's sad when you think about it, because it's like, oh, we had this chance, and if they hadn't blown the chance, it would have been better, but they blew it. It sucks.
It's unfortunate. I mean, what this happened like years ago, and then the state of EA now.
Yeah, no. I solidly believe 100% that there is no ability for EA to be fixed. I think it has to die a brutal death of a million cuts,
Oh, it's
essentially,
about to.
because
It's about
yeah,
to.
yeah, and I am quite positive that it will. But it's just crazy that we're at this point where it's like, yeah, the games industry is basically screwed, and it's screwed because there's people who have always put this desire for more wealth, more power, more control ahead of, like, making anything that's actually like good content, that's actually like, well made, smartly made, good content, that kind of stuff. It's like we
Haven't
just don't
you
have that anymore.
haven't you
But
noticed that gaming journalists have put out hit pieces against indie or smaller dev studios when they release popular games?
yeah, because again, they're part of an ecosystem that they believe, I think they're wrong, obviously, but they believe that they can't have, what we were talking about earlier. They can't have 1,000 games being released a day, because they don't know how to tell a good game from a bad game. They're journalists. They're journalists who don't know how to play games, let alone what a good game is. Their power completely revolves around them having the ability to control and tell people what they should or should not play, what they should or should not feel is a good experience or is a good game. They feel that they have the right to tell people what is and is not a good game, what is or is not good media, and that they are the ones who control that thing. And by controlling that thing, they're going to somehow make the world better somehow. It's, again, the logic of it is just stupid. Like, just genuinely is like, just sickeningly stupid, of the fact that they're like, no, we can't allow other people to create fun or to create, content. We have to control everything, because we must control everything if we want to survive as a as an entity, that does this job. It's and it's like, and again, it's like, no, that's 100% not true, because you have the same thing with content on any of these platforms. It's not about who's controlling what or who's doing what. It's just about what games are good and what games are bad. And it's not complicated. Like, it's genuinely not complicated, but for some reason they convince themselves that it's an impossible task to think outside the box, to create content that's new and diverse and interesting in an actual genuine, like, solid way that connects with the players. They don't do that because, again, I don't think they're capable of it. They're, and that boils down to, like, just the stupidity and the incapability of being being good at their job, essentially. Like, and again, that's the thing that sucks the most, because yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, quickly, because I obviously, like, everyone knows EA sucks, but quickly
yeah,
moving on because we have like two more stories. So
yes.
Nintendo's legal battle, if everyone remembers, they were suing uh po- Pocket Pair. Is that what the studio's called? Uh,
The people behind Pal World, right?
yeah. They were suing Power World because it was too similar to Pokemon, and Nintendo apparently isn't even the first developer to make monster catching games, but they're
Mhm.
sure heck hell bent on being the only monster catching game to exist, because Lord forbid that a monster catching game is actually successful. But Power World was released by a small gaming studio. It had a lot of similarities. The art style was similar to Pokemon, but the differentiation between the two games, like mechanic wise and story wise, and was different enough to maybe skirt a little, laws here, copyright laws here and there. However, Nintendo didn't like that. So they decided to sue Power World. And what I cannot stand is that during the lawsuit, Nintendo created a patent for throwing balls at creatures. They didn't have the patent already to sue them with. No, they made it a couple of months after Power World was already released. So it's like, how can this win in courts? Because they didn't even have the patent before the game was released. How is this able to fly? How is this able to fly through the courts? That doesn't make any sense to me. But apparently,
it doesn't have to make sense to you. It just has to make sense to the people at Nintendo.
They're like, we have legally patented. See, as someone with a functioning brain, I would be like, okay, when did you patent this? When exactly did you send in this patent? And when did Power World release? So Power World released on this time, and then you patented 2 or 3 months after it was released. So technically, Power World isn't withheld under this law or under this patent because it was already released before this patent was created.
Yeah, again,
door closed, case closed.
I have no idea how they're getting away with this, and I will be like Japan's got a really weird legal system, and it's kind of sad because
it went through probably on Japan's side, but they brought it to the States. And that's what I was functioning on this whole time. I was like, oh, they're suing this indie dev studio in the States? There's no way that that's going to fly. Because, yes, we have copyright laws, but, even then, we have, I wouldn't say lenient, but very... Is it fair? I wouldn't know. But we have copyright laws, but it's not as strict in Japan. Because Japan's very strict about copyright laws. It's unreal. They will literally take down YouTube videos that have 5 seconds worth of footage of an anime. They will take it down because the company doesn't want anyone making content or money off of that footage. Even still images of an anime is questionable because they still go after that on a whim. It is crazy restrictive in Japan when it comes to copyright laws. So when they took it to the States, I was like, there's no way that they can win in the States because our laws aren't not as harsh or strict as they are in Japan. So Nintendo issued 23 violations of copyright law. They issued 23 issues of, I assume, copyright. Out of the 23, only 22 were dismissed. The only thing that passed through the legal system was the ball throwing, because yes, I would... Okay, so the designs of the balls were... God darn it, saying balls. Anyways, the designs of the spheres, okay, so for Power Word, they had this like magical gem sphere that had like pointy tips, and then at like pointy tips on the axis, and then like vines or a vine like design around the sphere. And you use that to capture and to release on command whatever monsters that you capture. For Pokemon, the ball, the Pokeball, is obviously a sphere that's half white, half red, with a little circular, was it button? Let's just say in the between uh the colors. And everyone knows what a Pokeball looks like. And over the years, they've changed the design of the Pokeballs depending on what type of Pokeball it is. Like they've used different colors of like gray and black with like a lightning bolt design on it. Like there has been different iterations of a Pokeball, but in general, it is usually just one top color, one bottom color, and maybe, depending on what type of Pokeball it is, there's different color designs on the top part. Or different, not color designs, but different types of designs on the top part. Even now, it's not really the design aspect that is the issue. It is the mechanic of capturing and releasing creatures from a sphere. That is the mechanic that they had patented. And that's what pisses me off, was because the reason why this is such an issue is because it's been an issue for a while now that gaming companies have been patenting
Concepts, ideas, basic things. I mean, and again,
a very
Bethesda set this. They tried to copyright the word scrolls. Now it wasn't Bethesda. It wasn't Todd Howard. It was the legal side of uh, ZeniMax. So it wasn't. I know people love to jump on Todd Howard and go, "Well, here's the problem." It's like, no, wasn't the problem. Obviously, a problem, but wasn't the problem. So yeah, don't jump don't jump down their throat too much. But yes, there is that obvious problem where the companies, and again, Warner Brothers talked about it earlier. The mechanic for the growing uh, um, uh, it's the villain system. I can't remember what it's called exactly.
the
What they
Nemesis
trademarked
system.
it. The Nemesis system. That's what it was.
I know everyone
The
keeps bringing it
Nemesis
up, so I
system.
remember.
Yeah, the Nemesis system. Like they had this thing. They were trying to take it in. They created it very smartly, very good. By the way, I think none of the people that actually created that work for them anymore.
Ugh.
So and that's something that's like it's just shady, it's gross, it's disgusting. I hate it. I wish there was an easy answer for this. I wish there was an easy way of saying, oh yeah, no, the to fix this all you have to do is X, Y, and Z. But I don't think there is a good answer for this in any way, shape, or form because it's just the way it is, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just annoying because it restricts any type of advancement in the gaming industry because they're
Hmm.
gatekeeping these mechanics. And like, do you know how, and someone made a good point bringing this up, but do you know how infinitely better Baldur's Gate 3 would have been if they had the Nemesis system? And
Oh
the
yeah,
Nemesis
no.
the Nemesis system is a very complex mechanic where it's it what was it a rival NPC. It is used for rival NPCs if they remember what you did to them previously, and it wouldn't have to be like you kicked their butt and then you decided to spare them. It's not just that. They will remember that you broke. their leg. They will remember that you cut off their hand. They're going to remember
Mhm.
that, and they're going to have a grudge. They're going to remember that you hurt their brother on the other side of the map. They're going to remember that. It was a very complex, advanced system. Do you know how awesome it is if you would have implemented that into a fantasy RPG where
Mhm.
characters remember every small detail that you did? And yes, that we have it to an extent where if the game was worked on, was it long enough that the reactive system, like I guess like Skyrim, the reactivity of the system can be, you know, pretty great. But they remember every small detail that you did. Like, yeah, was it a character will be like, hey, uh, you're not allowed to be in my house, and then they'd be aggro for like in game 2 days, but then they're gonna forget that you were in their house. You know what I mean? Like after a while, the NPCs forget that you were there. What if the NPC remembered through the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
freaking
Like
game that you were in their house? They will be
do,
on the lookout for you. Oh, but
doing this for Skyrim would have just been like absolutely game changing. It would have been
no
so
one
cool.
no one would have left Skyrim at all. Like everyone would be always be playing Skyrim every day, all day. Like it would have been the new was it League of Legends, War, World of Warcraft. Like it would have been the next WoW, like because of how much
Yeah.
reactivity and detail was in the games. Like, oh gosh, it would like in Baldur's Gate 3, like, oh my god. The story and the reactivity and the outcomes were all good by itself. But then to add the Nemesis system, that would have been crazy. That would have been so crazy. And then Larian Studios would have let you have access to it. They would have let you have access to it so that you can make your own NPCs that remember stuff that on their in your campaigns. Oh, that would have been so awesome. Unfortunately, we don't live in that reality, so we can only dream. We can only dream. Unfortunately, they hid it all behind patents, and now we don't have access to it because no one else is allowed to own it except who owns it?
It's vile. It's
Yeah.
so vile. It's so bad.
You would think that they would at least outsource it. Well, I wouldn't say outsource. You know what I mean? Like, let people
They
have access
I
to it for
heard
a price. Like,
I heard that they tried to somebody tried to get like ask them how much it would cost. Like this was a small like double A studio working on a game, and I think they were told like $45 million.
wait,
Like
what?
just yeah, they were basically told a number that they had no capability in any way, shape, or form of being able to do.
That's disgusting, dude.
And again, it's because these idiots who are in control of this stuff, that are working on this stuff, they don't have a concept in any way, shape, or form of how this stuff works. Like they just don't. Like they're completely clueless as far as like, well, like what's a good price for something. And there's a bunch of people sitting around going, oh, I don't know, tell them $55 million. Like what's the numbers? Like how did you come to that understanding? Well, I don't know, it's not our job to come up with this stuff, blah, 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 blah. It's just like
It's very frustrating, but unfortunately, this is the world we live in currently. Is this a good idea? Of course it's not. It's never a good idea, but it's not like AAA studios always had the most revolutionary ideas anyways. So, but thankfully, okay, let's just step back from the depression area. Thankfully, that was the only thing that they managed to win. Unfortunately, this means that patents as a thing is going to be a trend even more in the gaming industry, but it wasn't enough to thwart Power World as a Pokemon contender. So Power World, what did they do? They just got rid of the spheres. They just literally just erased them. You can just call and retract your pals just with a push of a button. I think later on they changed it from a sphere to like a badge thing. I could be wrong. It's been a while since I played Power World. I don't know if they just switched it out for something else or if it's still just you just call them back and forth just with a push of a button. I think they replaced it with something else that is not, reminiscent of a Pokeball. Uh, so it wasn't a huge deal. It wasn't a huge deal. They were able to find a creative way to bypass Nintendo's BSery. Does this mean that Nintendo is going to stop? I don't think so. I feel like they're prideful and butthurt enough to try and continue to batter Power World until
Considering that that most people would logically draw the fact that they took most of those designs from a certain Dragon Quest series.
Dragon Quest.
Yeah.
Mm.
Did you not see the correlating
No,
similarities between
I've only
Pokemon and Dragon Quest
oh
characters? And Dragon
no
Quest was made first.
no I haven't seen the Dragon Quest comparisons. I've seen Pokemon and PAL comparisons.
No, so the all of the characters from all of the not all, a good chunk of the monsters from the Pokemon series was stolen straight up, theoretically and allegedly from Dragon Quest.
Wow.
Like just look it up. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Goodness gracious. And then they're like, and it's not like anyone can sue Nintendo because we're Nintendo and was it, was it, they're so rich in money that they're like, no one can feasibly afford a lawsuit against Nintendo because they're so powerful. And usually, what their MO is when it comes to being sued in court or when they're suing in
Mm-hmm.
court,
Mm-hmm.
it's not
Mm-hmm.
about the win. It's not about winning the lawsuit. It's about extending the issue until the other party cannot afford this court case financially, and then forcing them because they can't continue doing this financially, settle out of court. That is their whole plan practice that they
Yeah,
do in court.
that's their MO. They've been doing it for ages.
Yep. So yeah, unfortunately, Power World made enough money to actually fight Nintendo, enough to actually win most of the lawsuits that they were
And
throwing at them.
I hope they do really really well, because this kind of um lawsuit stupidity has to stop. This has to stop. It cannot keep going this direction. This is
Have you
not
ever?
healthy for
Yeah,
anybody.
I mean, a lot of things about the industry is not good for anybody.
Yeah.
But what do we know? We're just lowly serfs who buy their games.
Yeah. One of my favorite lines. What do I know? Like,
Oh
I've only been in this industry for 15, 20ish years, going off and on, being like,
God.
yeah, just
It's been
just
four.
and again, it's just this stupidity of it is just like it really is like really frustrating to look at, because it's like, yeah, this stuff has been around for a really long time. We keep having this issue, and you'd think, somebody at some point would like talk about it and like lay the smackdown, but no, because they are all headed to extinction, and they're headed to extinction as fast as they possibly can go, because we see it like the them destroying all these studios. It's like they made great games and they destroyed those things because they were told to, because that's just the way that, management corpo elites see the world, and it's gross. It's
Yeah.
genuinely gross.
Yep. Moving on to our final story. CD Projekt Red recently released a behind the scenes look of how the cinematic trailer was made. Now, in them doing that, was it a recent behind the scenes look at The Witcher 4 gave us a closer look at Ciri's character model, sparking discussions about whether changes were made to her facial features, because that's been a point of contention in the gaming sphere when it comes to The Witcher 4. Honestly, I feel like there's a lot of other things that we should be concerned about that the developers said about the game and Ciri herself that they're going to implement in the game, but no, everyone's focused right now on her facial features, which I also think is also kind of concerning, but it's only one of the many problems I have with The Witcher 4, and it's not even out yet.
Mm-hmm.
But they did a side by side showing of Ciri's character model and then the character they used in the trailer. And there is a very obvious difference in their facial structures. And I hate that they're making it seem like I'm stupid and I can't see that there is different facial structure with Ciri in the game model and Ciri in the trailer. All they have to do is say, hey, the character in the trailer, and I think that is what they said, that the character in the trailer isn't, going to be an exact representative of what Ciri's going to look like in the game. And they did actually show Ciri's character model as it would look like in the game, but she looks like regular Ciri. She doesn't look older in my eyes. Like, you can make a character look older by adding a few wrinkles or having some dark bags kind of under their eyes. But it seems like this is just young Ciri that they're displaying. I don't trust CDPR at all, especially after the huge F up they made with Cyberpunk. I do not trust anything that they say because they are just horrendous liars, because they lied to us the whole marketing of Cyberpunk 2077. Why would they not lie when it comes to The Witcher 4? So I don't trust anything that they're saying. It could be that the Ciri character model that they're showing is a younger version of Ciri, but they're going to use a different character model in her older version. That's one theory. Now, I would love to give this game the benefit of the doubt. I'd love to do that. But unfortunately, I do have a heavy bias, especially because a lot of gamers were burned, especially me, during the marketing of Cyberpunk 2077. Because there were a lot of warning signs with Cyberpunk 2077's marketing. There were a lot of warning signs. Unfortunately, we were all very hyped for the game that we didn't see them as the warning signs that they were. CDPR gave out early access to the game, or like first 3 hours of the game, but there journalists were not allowed to talk about the game until like maybe a day before the game was released. And I took that, I instantly clocked that as usually what AAA game studios did when they knew they had a shitty game, but they didn't want they didn't want early access reviewers to show how poop the game was, really, until, the embargo was lifted. And that was a warning sign. Another warning sign was that a week before the game was released, instead of being a cyberpunk RPG, they changed it to a cyberpunk, for the description of the game, they changed it to cyberpunk action shooter. And I was like, what? I was like, what? It's not an RPG? Like what?
Yeah.
There were warning signs. And there are warning signs with this game, and it's not even the change of series face. That's not the crux of the issue. That's not the only issue. If that was the only issue, we this wouldn't be much of a topic. Unfortunately, the game devs have been, if I remember correct,
There's been some
there's
there's been some issues. There's been some they're they are very smarmy, and they have been being smarmy to people, which sucks because we you'd think that there would have a little bit more humility
and
coming
guess
from Cyberpunk,
guess
like
what happened to
and
the
the
last game?
launch. Yeah,
Guess what happened to the last game where the developers were smarmy to their
everybody.
customers? Avowed, and then Avowed
Hmm.
release. Oh wait, it's kind of poopy. Oh my gosh, no one's actually enjoying the game. Why is no one liking our product that there's signs that they didn't even put a lot of effort into making the game? Like I one of the examples is that, was it for Avowed, one of the origin characters has a lot more detailed backstory than the other origin characters, or that you can start out with. And then there's like, was it the NPCs aren't as reactive, or like the guards aren't as reactive to the player character doing things in the world than in Skyrim, which came out a decade ago. Like it's very it's like it's I
It's
can
weird.
only I
It's
can
really really weird.
and then you have CDPR where they're whining. I was gonna say the B word. They were whining to they're being rude, like extremely rude to people who enjoy their series. And when someone has a genuine question, they bite
Hmm.
back. They don't fight
Yeah,
back. They bite back. And it's like,
that
what?
yes, that's a great way of putting it. They're not they don't seem to be interested in having a coherent, calm discussion on the matter. They just go immediately into being snippy and being rude and being really really angry, and it's not cool. It genuinely is not cool. It's like, guys, why are you doing this? We are
And
trying to have, there's some people are trying to have genuine lower questions and stuff like that. And I believe that there is like obviously like actual lore reasons for the issues, and I am not opposed to them. I'm just genuinely not. I think that it
oh, I
makes
have
sense and
issues.
it's logical and stuff like that. But again, the why be so snarky about it?
Look,
Like,
I'm
just
even
like, why?
like, don't get me wrong, I'm even open for her being a witcher. I don't know the lore, okay? Let's be honest here. I don't know the lore, so I don't know if it's feasible or not. I'm open to her being a witcher. What I don't like is that they're doing this BSery. And this is a sure sign that the game is not going to be what we think it is, because, well, first of all, their last game that they worked on was Cyberpunk 2077, and that was a game that came out that wasn't what people thought it was going to be. So why is Witcher 4 getting such grace? Like, that's something that baffles me to no end. But it's not only that, there's also, like, the developers are being rude to an extreme extent. Uh, there's question about if they're changing series facial features to look more different than it was originally, because it's just a drastic face change. Like, and like, whatever. Okay, it's a trailer. Fine, fine. That's not a good argument. I can deal with that. What I can't understand is why people think that it's going to be not not political heavy, when the devs have shown that that's not the case. They have
Hmm.
implemented a DEI program into their studio, and it is on their website. It is there. And usually, when dev studios do that, that's not good at all. Uh, and not only that, they said that they wanted Siri to be more vocal about politics in the game instead of, was it following the steps of Geralt, because Geralt was more passive when it came to politics in the game. But they're like, no, with Siri we're going to be more vocal, and I'm like, oh no. Oh no. Well, I wouldn't say more
Like,
vocal, they say
because
more
of course,
more
why would
passionate.
you?
She's going to be more
Why would
passionate.
such a brilliant idea? It's like, yeah, just let's try to do this. It's
Instead
like,
of
yeah, that's
instead
not
of
gonna that's
instead
not
of
gonna end poorly.
instead of being neutral about politics, it said no, we need to be more involved in the politics of what's going on in the Witcher world. I'm like, oh, good lord. And not only that, they said that they were going to bring up issues of sexism in the world of The Witcher because there aren't any female Witchers in the lore. And I know people are going to say, well, there is one female Witcher. Apparently, the female Witcher that you're referencing was like in a very obscure side game that wasn't even canon, so she's not even a real character.
I
So
thought,
it's like
yeah,
it was like a mobile game that wasn't even canon. Like it, so it's
yeah,
not.
it's one of those annoying things where it's like, guys, you really need to like lay this stuff out properly. Like,
Yeah, it's just, unfortunately, guys, there are no female Witchers except allegedly Ciri, but even then, there's like lore inconsistencies with that. But like I said, I'm still open with Ciri being a Witcher. I just don't like that it seems like it is going down a road I don't want it to go down. I actually wanted to play Witcher 4. If you saw my live reaction to, was it the Game Award? Well, not, was it the Game Awards? Where they did the reveal trailer? I think it was
mhm.
the awards. I was actually really looking forward to this game. I was looking forward to this game. But then things started coming out that made me go, wait a second. That I don't know how to feel about that. And then the face looked weird. Okay, the face looks weird. I don't agree with that. It's just a little off-putting. But then the devs started biting people. Oh, that's not good. Oh, we want Siri more involved in politics. Oh, that's not good. Oh, we have to make a statement about sexism in the Witcher world. I'm like, oh my god, we're going down a road. We've been here before. I've played these games before. We've been down this road so many times. Yet for some reason, people are giving this game so much grace. And they forget that we have been here before. And guess what happened last time? We got burned so badly. And it's frustrating because I feel like I'm the only one who remembers that the last game CDPR worked on was Cyberpunk 2077, and what a poop show that was. The
Mhm.
launch was so bad. It was biblical, honestly. And people are so quick to forgive them because it took them like 2 to 3 years to fix the game, and they had a lot of mod support.
People
It's
weren't
fine.
quick to forgive them. They were
Oh,
like,
nah, that's not what I'm feeling. I feel like everyone is quick to forget what happened with Cyberpunk. That's what it feels like, and I'm like the only one who remembers because no one brings it up. Everyone's just so uh hell bent on making sure that The Witcher 4, there's nothing wrong with The Witcher 4. They didn't change anything. You guys are making things up. There's nothing wrong with The Witcher 4. And I'm like, it's okay, sure, yeah. The models, there's nothing wrong with the models. The models looks fine, allegedly, but We're Lord forbid Cyberpunk has CDPR ever lied to us? Have they ever lied to us, guys? Do you have any examples? They, of course not. They've been honest with us from the very beginning. They've never lied to us. So why would they lie to us about changing series model? Why would they I'm sure we can totally believe them on that. But even then, let's give them the benefit of doubt, at least for the model changes. The other stuff isn't pointing down a good direction either. Of course, I'm just repeating myself, but what the signs are not looking good. But it feels like people are so focused on Witcher 4 coming out that they don't. We're doing another Cyberpunk 2077, guys. We're doing another Cyberpunk 2077. We're so desperate for the game to come out that we're being blinded by the red warning signs all around us, but we got our rose tinted glasses on. There's no way we can see the red flags when we have these rose tinted glasses on because we just want another Witcher game.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of like cautious buyers now. I think there's a lot of them. Honestly, I do. I think that just
Oh yeah,
overall
because
there's an enormous amount of people who are like,
what do you think caused
yeah,
it to be such a big staple? Don't get me wrong, everyone was being cautious for a while now, but the main pin in the catalyst of people being cautious buyers for the majority of gamers was Cyberpunk 2077. And then that was such a big blowback that everyone was like, nope, no, 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 no pre-order, no, we're not doing this again, no, 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 no. That was so, that was such a big event that it was one of the like major, was it? I guess a black pill moment. Like I don't know what it was. Like
mm-hmm.
it was just a major black pill moment for a lot of gamers to be like, oh, this is an issue. This is an issue. And it's like, yes, it is an issue. It's just we thought that CDPR was above it, but apparently they were not. So, but at least we have, I keep having to remind myself, at least we have Larian Studios and Architect Entertainment. We still have you guys. And Rebel Wolves. We still have them. We have a good game coming out. So far. Well,
so far.
Yeah, I don't know how I don't know how Blood of Dawnwalker is going to come out. I really hope it's going to be a good game. I'm worried it's going to have a very short campaign. They said that the way that the mechanics is going to work is that you can still enjoy the environments and like take leisurely strolls and like you can take it at your own pace, but you do have to fulfill certain quests in a certain amount of time, that it is a limited time that you have access to in the game, because you have like 30 days in game to rescue your family, or don't. It's up to you. It's up to you. Honestly, I'm kind of curious on what the bad ending is, and I wonder if they're going to if it's going to leave off on a cliffhanger, and if there's going to be like a sequel, because it seems like they're going to make it a saga. So I'm very curious about that. But yeah, I am cautious about Witcher 4. I can't say I'm optimistic about it because I wanted to play my own Witcher that I could create in a character creator. I didn't want to play Ciri because I wanted to play my own Witcher that I made. But apparently, Ciri was always hinted at to be the next character of this series, so it's what it is. I mean, it's not a big deal, but it's a little disappointing isn't that the phrase of the day? It's a little disappointing that, okay, we have Ciri as a Witcher, but then you have all these weird things happening behind the scenes, or you have these weird things happening with the devs, and I'm like, oh yeah, we've been here before. This just seems very familiar. So I'm just cautious. I'm not optimistic, but I am cautious. But yeah, that's all I have to say. I feel like I'm going to keep reiterating these talking points until I'm blue in the face, until the game is released. I could be totally wrong, honestly. Like, it could be a very engaging game. It could have like a lot of choice and consequence. It could be very dark and enjoyable because it's a dark fantasy, and I do love dark fantasies. But yeah, I don't know. Will I play the game on release? Maybe for content. Maybe for content, but yeah, I'm just cautious. If it turns out to be a bad game, I'm not going to be surprised. If it turns out to be a good game, I'll be very surprised. I'd be like, ooh, this is actually a very good game. I will eat my words if it's a very good game. Uh,
And be happy about it, right?
yeah, yeah, I'll be happy. I'll just be kind of annoyed that they didn't put this much creativity in Cyberpunk 2077. But, that's just, like I said, I'm going to be harping on that for years to come. But, yeah, we can never be mad at having too many good games, guys. We can't be mad about that. Like, I cannot be mad about that. I'll be mad about Cyberpunk 2077 for what seems like forever. But if Witcher 4 actually becomes a really good game, all the more for people to enjoy. Like, for real. But as people said, was it? Uh, Even though Avowed came out and it isn't making a splash as people thought it would make, does that mean you cannot enjoy the game? You can enjoy the game. Just as, even though I really, really hate the existence of Cyberpunk 2077, I'm not going to fault you for liking the game. I know people enjoy the game. I know they love the gameplay. I know they love the DLCs, and I know that they have legit fun with the game. And I'm glad that they feel that way. Unfortunately for me, I have been burnt, so I have a bias. So if Witcher 4 comes out and it is actually a good game, like I said, the more for players to enjoy. And I hope maybe if I get my bias lens off, maybe I can also enjoy the game too if it's good. But if it sucks, more content for me to make anyway. So there's that, I guess. Anything else you want to add, Saib?
I I think it'll be fine. Um, don't quote me on that. And I'm not saying fine as in like it's going to be a perfect game. I don't think that, but I think they're like I don't think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be another Concord. I don't think it'll destroy their studio. I think they're probably going to have some issues because they always have issues, especially when they don't listen to people. And let's hope that it's not, the end of the studio. Let's hope they learn from
Lord
the lesson,
forbid.
like
Lord,
they did with some of the
do you
stuff
know
that
what would be?
from.
Do you know what would be funny? If someone killed Geralt, her father figure, and then she has to go on a vengeance
On a
quest.
revenge quest
That'll be.
and not actually take revenge because
Revenge is bad, guys. No one wins with
because revenge,
revenge.
yeah, no one wins with revenge, don't you know? Like, oh god, that thing that drives me absolutely nuts to this day. I absolutely hate it.
And
It
then
is
we and
garbage.
then half the game is you playing as the antagonist and you understand why she's misunderstood. She just wants to save her people, guys. So, in reality, isn't the main character the bad guy? Oh no, oh god, it's a full circle side. We came back to this. They really can't write. They're like, "Oh, the
They've never
antagonist is
been able
so
to write.
the antagonist is just a good guy. It's just the society paints them as evil. And it's like, okay, but wouldn't that make us, the person stopping them, the bad guy? Anyways, I guess that's it for today until next week. And we have some exciting news to share with you guys. Yeah. I stream on Twitch Lady Reaver. You can find all my socials down below. Follow my Twitter so that you keep up to date with my streaming schedule because I am all over the place, but I mostly stream on the weekends until my Wi-Fi cuts out and decides not to work that day, and I will update you to let you know. But yeah, you got anything else to say, Sab?
No, that's it. Hopefully,
Uh,
yeah,
your
yeah.
your new your
Hopefully
new
things.
your new podcast.
Oh yeah, so yes, that should be out hopefully sometime this week. You'll see it on this. The first episode will be on this channel, sort of just kind of showcasing like what it's about, what we're doing, and then an encouragement to go check out the new channel and subscribe over there, where we're gonna have lots and lots and lots of book stuff over the next like little while. It's going to be, I hope, good. I hope. I hope it's gonna be good. I hope it's gonna be good. It's no, it's been, like we've been having a blast. Ash and I've been having a blast recording these podcasts. The book is coming along. We have a wonderful artist. We have a wonderful musician. We have like everything is moving. I've had great discussions with editors and some publishers, and so yeah, so things are definitely moving. They're not going to be moving fast, but they're moving, which is great.
Mm-hmm. And you love to see it. And honestly, I'm
Mm-hmm.
really looking
Mm-hmm.
forward to the podcast because I want to listen to. As an avid book reader, I would love to listen to, your podcast.
Yeah, yeah. I'm really excited to like get people to be able to like listen in and see where we're at with that. So I cross my fingers and hope that I do a good job with it.
All right. Uh all right. I'll see you guys next time. I hope you have a good day or night wherever you're at. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.